Hello and welcome to another episode of the Tree of Geek. This is Season 2, Episode 2. We're going to be diving into the world of Alien today, from Ridley Scott to James Cameron and more. I'm excited to get into this. What about you?
I am so excited that I would give you a chugga, but apparently I need to retire that. So this will be the last time you hear a chugga.
After
Because
6
some
episodes.
people don't like to hear a chugga. So, no, I'm very excited to be here. There's one thing I love, it's a space opera, and if there's another thing I love, it's space horror. That's right, I'm looking at you, Jason X.
No.
No? Oh, I thought we were talking about killers in space today.
Well, we are, but not Jason X.
Oh, I was confused. I got the wrong notes, man.
No, we are looking at Sigourney Weaver running around space in her underwear
That
with a
one.
flamethrower, trying not to die.
That one, I remember now. It's been a while since I saw those ones. Just kidding, I recapped them all this last week.
But before we dive into that, we are first going to do what we always do. What's new in your world, in the world of Geek, or recent Geek news that might be pressing on your poor little soul?
Poor old soul. I thought I had a young rich soul calling me out here. Let's see, two things come to mind. I'll start with, well, I don't know if it's dire news for everybody. It is for some people involved, but when we record, we put it out, you post it. I listen to it on deliveries or wherever I am. And I noticed that we talked about Jonathan Majors. We talked about the situation and how we hope there'd be a resolution sometime soon. Well, the day after we put out that recording, he got tossed to the curb. And so that happened. So we're going to get a new Kang. And later on in this episode, we're going to give it the old college try to give our 3 choices. We picked 3 choices. That was our homework. 3 choices to replace Kang. I don't know what Marvel is going to do, but no longer will Jonathan Majors be Kang in the MCU.
Right. And I've heard rumors that they're just going to scrap Kang altogether and go with Doctor Doom. I'm really hoping they don't. I'd like to see Kang just get recast. I mean, it's the multiverse. They can technically throw anybody they want in there and call it a
Absolutely
day.
anybody they wanted.
And I feel like if they just throw them away, that's a massive waste of the buildup that we've been having. Because let's face it,
I think this is a golden opportunity that they could take.
Absolutely. And whether he is a piece of trash or not because of what he did, I don't know. I have no right to say. But he was a phenomenal actor.
I'm going to go ahead and say I think they were both wackadoos.
Yes.
By everything I saw on TMZ and everyone else, they're both wackadoos.
Yep.
And hopefully they both get their lives straightened out.
But without diving into detail on that, we're going to look at possible replacements. I've got an interesting list here that I'm pretty sure you might agree with a few, but you are probably going to really shoot down on another one. But we'll see how it goes.
Maybe.
Anything new in the geek world as far as...
Well, my own personal geek world there is. I started a Dungeons & Dragons game as the DM. I only played a handful of times, and I really wanted to play with you and your group. Time restraints did not allow that to happen. So I grabbed a couple other people together, some close friends, and I said, hey, if we do this, I'll be the DM. We sat there and put out 5 months of dates, so we can't cancel on them. It went relatively well, I think. Nobody seemed really angry. Everybody seemed happy.
No,
I got decent input.
I did talk to our mutual friend, John.
I need to learn the rules a little. Yeah, Mr.
He seemed to really enjoy it.
Well,
so,
I'm happy.
There's some positive feedback for you. And like I told you, the only advice I can give you is just have fun with it. It is a whole different animal when you're running it compared to playing it.
I greatly enjoyed on the spot having to do different accents and motivations for people, as I kind of in my head was prepared, but then I wasn't prepared. You know, when they ask you different questions that you're not really expecting. So it was fun, and I'm looking forward to doing this a lot more in the future.
That's awesome. That is great to hear.
Anything new in your geek world?
So yeah, I did just see. I'll have to find the links, put them in show notes or whatever. I'll definitely send them to you though. That apparently the Department of Energy, I did see it's on their website as well, just announced recently, which again, by the time this episode comes out, it had been a couple of weeks ago, but let's be honest, you're probably not even going to have heard about it because they don't really advertise this stuff like they should, in my opinion. But apparently the Department of Energy finally came out and admitted that they have been able to reliably cause fusion reactions multiple times now over the past couple of, I guess, months. And that they believe that they can actually now use it as fusion for a fuel source, where it's taking less energy to start the reaction than it's actually producing. Which, if you know anything about it, that could be phenomenal. That could be.
I hope it's true.
It could
I
be
really do.
Massive for the renewable energy world.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. So hopefully
let's quit sucking down them their dead dinosaurs, and let's put a small fusion bomb in our trunk.
And everybody out there that might celebrate the winter solstice or Yule, I'd like to say happy holiday to you. We're recording on the winter solstice today. Winter is here at our doorsteps, and we here hope you have a fantastic couple cold months. Unless you live in the tropics, and you know what? Go put your toes in the sand and enjoy that too.
Yeah,
and I'm very jealous. Very jealous.
Are you a summer person?
I'm a fall person. I don't hate the winter. I don't hate a lot of things, but I don't enjoy cold 20-degree wind when you're outside trying to walk to your car. I don't enjoy that. I like the atmosphere of the snow and the quietness of it. And I like to sled, but when it's just like way, way down there, and I don't like to pay for fuel oil.
Yeah,
it's expensive.
I'm definitely more of a winter person. I love the cold. I don't mind the snow. But if I had to pick a time of year, it would definitely be either early spring or fall, when you throw on a hoodie, sit with some friends around a campfire, and
I agree.
You're comfortable.
I mean, I love to go to the beach, man, but I don't want to like roast.
See, when we go to the beach, we like to people watch. We don't even like the ocean, but we like to just sit on the boardwalk and watch people. Because I'm telling you right now, when you don't think someone's watching, you do the dumbest things. And when we're watching, we see some of the dumbest things.
Yes, people, we are crazy creatures. But you know what else is a crazy creature? Something that has acid blood. It likes to burst out of your chest or your mouth or your back, for that matter, depending on the sequel you're in. I don't know. There's like one hair that keeps floating in here in my face. It's driving me nuts. It's like in the scene in Alien Covenant where the guy breathes in the spores, or they go in his ear.
You say better than going. Well, it's both.
Yeah, the other guy though.
But we'll get to that.
Yeah, not in that movie yet. So yeah, we're gonna talk about this franchise. We're gonna talk about 1 through 6. We're gonna talk about what we like, what we don't like. Give you a little tidbits of info, maybe some backstory that you don't know on some of them. Not a super deep dive, but enough.
Absolutely. You know? And we are going to go in release order. So we're gonna start with Alien, followed by Aliens.
And wait. Spoiler warning! In case nobody has seen any of these movies, we've been requested at the midnight hour, right before recording. Somebody said, please put in spoiler warnings. Well, here it is. Just for you. You know who you are. Spoiler warning. If you've not seen any Alien movies, we will be spoiling every single Alien movie.
The newest one was
Xenomorphs
in 2014, I think. And the first one was like 1979. If you haven't seen them by now, that is not our problem.
What did I say a long time ago? Stop living underneath a rock, perhaps?
Yeah, well, in this case, you're like under the tectonic plates.
Yes, shifting around and restless.
All right, so we're going to dive into it with I think it was 79. Yes, 1979, yes. The movie Alien. It was an 8.5 out of 10 on IMDb. Directed by Ridley Scott. And we're looking at a science fiction horror movie, which at the time was unheard of. From what I was reading, they were saying that science fiction and horror, it wasn't really melded together yet. They'd never really tried to pull something like that off. It was either adventure or it was like slasher.
I guess. I mean, if you really want to get divisive about it, sure.
Well, I do.
I'll go with that. Okay.
All right, so we'll go and just jump right into it. What are your first takes on that movie?
Well, it's definitely the worst of the franchise, that's for sure. It's super boring. Nothing happens. There's a little bit of blood, and we can move on to the next one.
Are you serious?
For my real thoughts, let's be clear, and I think I'm going to echo a lot of people in the world. The first movie's a masterpiece. It really is. You have characters that you care about. You know who Dallas is. I mean, Tom Skerritt, what a legend back in the day. Sigourney Weaver, Yaphet Kotto. Like, I don't even need to read what's on the screen over here to my periph, because this movie is just. Well, I threw you some pre-rankings before we did all this, and I had it ranked at number 2. But then after I did some rewatching, I was like, no, Alien 1 is the best. I mean, there's some really great stuff about the other movies, but Alien 1 captures every type of atmosphere that you want in a horror movie and seamlessly puts it into a sci-fi area that's not cheesy. There's no stupid ray guns. There's no horrible dialogue.
Yep.
The practical effects. And yes, the alien's on a skateboard.
I mean,
it doesn't matter.
The most science fiction part about it, other than the alien, is the fact that they're on a spaceship like that. That they're on a refinery in space. Other than
Yes.
that, they are your basic everyday people, and of course, cryosleep. But I mean, other than that, their idea of like weaponry is
Well,
mining equipment or a flamethrower or
I was
like,
about to say flamethrower. Yeah.
yeah, like they're not diving down like you said, like the phaser tunnels, or they're not like, oh, I need like what some of those movies that have like little stems that you like heal yourself with, and
Yeah.
this isn't a video game. They really took it to a practical effects level, well, practical story level, and I think that's one of the reasons it really stood out to me was because I haven't seen it. I never saw any of the Alien movies except for the first one until just last year. So I decided to just rewatch them all, and then for this, I rewatched
Did another
some
rewatch.
more.
Yeah. I've been watching them since I was a kid.
And even though I know exactly what's going to happen in that first one, the way it's designed, the dark tension and the suspense, it's
Well, I
so
know
enjoyable.
that you have a spot in your notes because I had the same spot in my notes about a scene. Well, I think it was your favorite scene you have on there with
Brett. Yes.
I was thinking of the actor's real name and it always escapes me. He's been in a lot of 80s movies. But, you know, having the cat watch this guy get murdered by the alien.
Yeah.
I've seen even the chest bursting scene. I've seen that hundreds of times. I'm telling you, this movie used to play on TV a lot. I've seen this since I was a little kid.
Yeah.
And I still sit there and I stopped what I was doing. These days, a lot of people watch a movie, they got their cell phone in their hand, they're TikTok and their Facebook and whatever. They're playing little Candy Crushes. That's old. That's dated.
Going through, what are they called? Reels?
Reels, yeah, that's what it is now.
Oh, I hate it.
For reals, man. But anyway, like even I find myself with my phone in my hand. And when those scenes come on, my phone goes down.
Yeah.
Even for that may be the 112th time I've seen the scene. I was like, no, I got to watch this. And there was something about the camaraderie of that first group of actors. At least the way they, whether it was behind the scenes, I don't know, but the way they were on screen together, their dialogue together, they're riffing on each other. It just seemed like they were a family, like a dysfunctional family. And, you know, Ripley's trying to talk to him down in the tunnels when they're supposedly got something broken and they got the steam going. They're just screwing with her. It's just a great movie. Great direction by Ridley Scott. Fantastic movie. And I've seen a lot of good sci-fi horror. There's some stuff out there, but I don't know if any movie is still touched Alien. They may have gotten into Aliens territory or some of the other ones, but I do not think any movie has touched Alien yet. And I don't think it will. It's got so many imitators, but it's never going to hit it.
What do you think would be the closest imitation we've gotten?
Aliens.
Outside the franchise.
Oh,
now you're talking like a horror sci-fi mix, like something of the same in the same wheelhouse, or
maybe Star Trek First Contact, but that's even a whole different
see, that's not a
deal.
horror by any means.
I mean, you got Borg taking over humans, you know, they're changing them, which is horrifying on its own level. But as far as like a creature, maybe The Thing, John Carpenter's The Thing, the remake, and I'll defend the sequel to that, or prequel to that. Yeah, the prequel to that. I mean, I think that's a fantastic movie too. They just go right together. So maybe those two. I think those are probably the best sci-fi horror movies ever.
I never saw the remake.
I mean,
the original with
Kurt Russell.
Thank you, Kurt Russell. Yes, but nothing since.
Yeah,
because I've always been the purist type of like, you're remaking a classic that doesn't need remade. I don't need to watch it.
Well, that's why I was afraid of the prequel, because I didn't realize it was a prequel. I thought it was a remake, and I was angry.
Okay.
But then I watched it and go, okay, this isn't.
Yeah, and a lot of the times, though, those movies are actually pretty good.
Yeah. Event Horizon's another one that was really, really good, but not with chest-bursting aliens.
True. See, one of the things I loved most about the Alien movie was that everything about it, I mean, other than the ship flying through space, which I believe was still like a green screen effect, or what. Back then, they did more of the painted effects.
It was very Star Wars-ish, which I thought was pretty cool.
Yeah.
Done.
Well, the thing I loved about it, everything was practical effects. Like, nothing was CGI. What we're missing.
And we're going to get into some later entries, which
I'm sure
totally going to echo.
I have notes on that, too. But I did just some brief research. I wanted to see, because I knew the original Alien was played by a person in a suit. And I remember reading it was a very hot suit, by the way. So his name was Balaji Bodejo. He was 6'10", and apparently, and I don't know if it was Ridley Scott or if it was another like a producer on the movie. Someone saw him standing outside of like a bar or a pub, or I don't remember where it was even, but they saw him and thought, he's the perfect build, he's the perfect height. I wonder if he acts. And that's how he got pulled in to play it.
That's awesome.
Yeah, like, hey, we just need you to crawl on your hands and feet and chase people.
Or kneel on a skateboard as they kind of just move it
Yeah.
behind the scenes. And I never really thought about that. And then going rewatching it, you could see him move a certain, like, yeah, he's definitely on the skateboard in this scene.
It's so smooth.
Yeah, he just, yeah. Yeah, I think the first one's a masterpiece. Definitely a 9.5 out of 10. I don't know if I can never give movies a 10, but this is probably as close as you're going to get to it in either sci-fi or horror.
Right.
Definitely, and to find a mix is just amazing.
So I figured, just in case, if you're listening and you haven't seen the Alien movie in a long time, very quick cover of the premise. A space mining rig is on their way back to Earth. They get a distress signal. They go check it out.
Things go sideways.
Yeah, things go sideways.
Aliens happen.
Yeah, yes, aliens happen. And that actually leads...
Alien happens.
Well, yes. And see, that leads me into one of my other favorite parts about the entire universe as a whole, but they set it up here. Was the whole, what was it, the Wayland...
Yutani?
Wayland, thank you, Yutani Corporation.
Not owned by Walmart yet.
Not yet, that is true. They like to push the corporate greed aspect right from the get-go. And you don't find out until later when you find out that Ash is actually, he could care less about human life. He's got an objective to complete, which, again, if you forget, Ash is the android.
Is the objective to make her eat a magazine? Because he was really trying to get that mission to follow through on. Like,
in an interview I was reading with, I think it was Ridley Scott, they said that he wasn't trying to kill her with the magazine. It was an adult magazine.
There was a lot of filth in that room.
He was taking
dirty men.
In the interview, they basically said he was taking his certain types of aggressions out on her, and because he is an android with lacking certain human anatomy,
he doesn't have all the bumpers on, all the safety.
Yeah. It was a very uncomfortable part because
I feel like they did not follow Asimov's rules in the Alien franchise. Like, whoever was making these, well, I mean, Wayland is the one making the androids at the beginning, but
right.
Like, he was just like, maybe Asimov didn't exist in that existence, in that reality, and he didn't put out the 3 laws at that time for them to follow.
Will Smith wasn't around yet.
No.
Well, actually, I guess he already was. If you look at
this is in a galaxy far away, a long time ago. Like, this is not now. This is now.
Yeah.
It wasn't Blade Runner just a couple years ago or something.
Yeah, I think it was like
another Ridley Scott joint.
Like that, yeah. But yeah, then we have Ash, the android, who is actually on his own objective, trying to. So I guess they already knew that this crash ship was out there. Is that they never really go into full detail, other than he wants to get the specimens back to Earth for the Wayland Corporation. But
in the first movie, they make it seem like they did not know the ship was there. There was just a distress signal of some sort.
Well, because they even say that it's your duty to
investigate. It's part of your contract.
And if you don't, that you could lose. And I mean, they were huge on their money. Yeah, they were afraid they'd lose pay.
Well, think about somebody out on an oil rig in the middle of the ocean. They, I assume, have certain contracts.
If you turn a blind eye to a dude in a raft over there, you're probably going to get in some trouble.
Yeah, more than likely. And maybe there's a missing movie somewhere that we'll loop around to that would probably explain some things. But at this point, when it comes out, all these other movies don't exist. So you're not even thinking about the huge
full
mythos
circle
of this.
Right.
Yeah. Alien 1, great movie. Is there anything else you'd like to pepper in about this one? Any other fan theories or facts or anything? Or
one fact that I did find to be really cool, during the chestburster scene, the crew knew it was going to happen. You know, 'cause they read the script, they knew it was coming. But they had no idea that when it happened, there were going to be, I mean, we know they're like packets of fake blood. Yeah. They had no idea it was going to explode out the way it did. And what was her name? Veronica Cartwright, the one that played Lambert.
Yeah.
Her reaction, like completely freaking out, was 100% genuine.
I think she is an unsung star of the early 80s. She's also in The Witches of Eastwick. And I just recently rewatched that movie and I forgot she was in there. And that woman, her emotion and energy that she puts into her roles.
Really?
Like the screaming and the terrified look on her face and just the whimpering and the crying, just all this that she puts into this role in Alien is just... Like, Sigourney Weaver's great. Tom Skerritt's great. But this woman here was like...
Well, she is like a fanatic.
Yeah.
Like frantic. That's the word I'm looking for.
Frantic,
she was completely off the wall frantic. She had no idea she was about to get...
she's losing her shit,
blown
man.
in the face with fake blood. And I just... Yeah. I mean, I love seeing natural reactions like that. Just like in Die Hard when they drop Hans Gruber at the end.
Yeah, he didn't know.
Yeah.
he
They
didn't
said,
know it was
like,
going to happen like that.
I think it was like, we're going to drop you on 4 or 5, and they dropped him on like 2. So his face is pure, legitimate
Alan Rickman,
fear.
Man. Oh.
I miss Alan Rickman. He was such a
By Grebthor's
gem.
hammer, we shall avenge you.
Another fun little tidbit. You know the end when she's on the ship and she's basically hunting Senor Alien?
Yes.
And she starts humming or singing the song, what was it, Lucky Star?
Madonna? I didn't realize it.
The song is from the movie Singing in the Rain.
Oh, okay.
It was completely improv.
No shit.
And everybody loved it, except for the studio, because they had to go buy the rights to use the song. So it cost them money.
How is that? Oh, I guess
it cost them money because she sang it, and they loved it so much they wanted to keep it in.
That's fantastic.
The only other thing I have written down here as far as, my favorite part, which we talked about, was him looking up into the chains, getting the water spritz on his face. And if you pay attention, you see, the xenomorph right there in front of you, but you don't even notice it because it's all shadows.
What's great about the first one is that it seems to be compact in places.
Yes.
And it just blends into that dark scenery. And they really, because of the budget they had, to use the darkness to their advantage to where you don't see any glaring things on the suit, because it's a practical suit. So to use those shadows and to have it so compact, and then just, that's what makes it even more scary, because when it expands, it just gets so freaking big.
6'10".
Yeah. Well, even bigger because,
Well, and there was a thing I was reading too. They said that the suit actually was fairly crappily put together. Because, it went through all that wear and tear, reshoot after reshoot. And they didn't have like a half a dozen, 2 dozen suits like they would today. They had, maybe a backup.
Well, even in the next one.
So they really relied on the darkness to cover up any imperfections.
And they did it fantastic.
And like when she's running onto the escape pod at the end, you can see the alien tucked away in the ductwork there if you look closely.
That part freaked me out the first time I saw it as a kid.
Again, I read so much crap on like the behind the scenes of these movies preparing for this and stuff I didn't know. They actually built part of that set around him because they didn't want to look like they had a little alcove built for him. They wanted him to push his way out. So they actually built part of it around him. And they said that's why there's a scene where they cut away to her for a while because he was having trouble getting out. But they didn't want to redo it because they couldn't put him back in for fear of the set being messed up now.
That's awesome.
Right?
Love the behind the scenes stuff. Yeah, there's all types of DVD, Blu-ray behind the scenes stuff. So
yeah, and then
great movie.
The biggest thing is that I really found just wow. I understand it was 1979, but Sigourney Weaver only got paid around $30,000 to $35,000 for the entire part.
It's because she was a woman.
It is.
Yeah,
100%.
It wasn't intended to be a woman.
No,
it was supposed to just be whatever.
Ripley was supposed to be a man originally. They liked Sigourney Weaver, and they didn't change any of the lines or anything. They just kept it as is because they said, hey, it works. And it did. I mean, she became a horror movie icon after that.
Yeah, she's great. Definitely great for the genre, for that franchise. Great actress.
Again, 8.5 out of 10 on IMDb. I will say I
never look at their ratings. Ever. Ever.
I just like to see what the overall, what do people think of it is.
I think it's just that specific one. I just never go there. I don't like the way their site's set up. I don't like their ads and everything. It irritates me.
There's more. They just keep adding more ads.
Yeah.
But you ready to move on?
Yeah, let's jump on to Alien Dos.
7 years later, Aliens, with a big S at the end. Aliens.
New director.
Yep, James Cameron stepped in.
Yep, Jimmy Cameron, as nobody calls him.
Still upset they didn't bring Ridley Scott back.
I'm not sure he wanted to do a second one at that point.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I think
I know they opted out of bringing Geiger back in to be a consultant on the designs, which they still...
You can still feel him there, though.
Yeah. I mean, there's less of that organic mechanical feel. I mean, they still tried to really work with it, but it's just not the same as it was in the claustrophobic spaceship.
Yeah.
But
well, James Cameron apparently told people he could make this movie with 3 alien suits. He could do it with 3.
Really?
Yep, and I don't know if it's true, but they say he only did it with 3 alien suits. He can make that last the entire shoot to save money.
So 2 little ones and a queen?
I don't know. I didn't look that deep into it, but...
Interesting.
Yeah.
I'd like to look
into that. That's what I heard.
That.
Yeah.
So this is a direct sequel to the movie Alien. We do pick up pretty much right where...
like a couple months.
The first one started. Well,
she's been filming for a little bit.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember. She thought she'd be floating for 6 weeks, and it was Or no, I'm thinking 2 to 3. Where she thought it'd be like 6 weeks and then said it was like 9 months or something like that.
Yeah. This one has now, because I just got them all confused. This one does have a smidge of a time jump. That's right.
A small one. Yeah,
Small
it's
one.
just like a couple weeks.
A little
Yeah.
smidgy.
So she
57 years.
sure.
I think that's what when she says Burke, how long have I gone? I think he says
Yeah,
57
you're
years.
right. She thought it'd be 6 weeks and it turned out to be 50 something years.
Because it was just random luck that
Well,
they found her.
Yeah, and they go off saying
Supposedly.
about how her daughter has now passed away as an old woman. And they're in the original, there was a whole slew of scenes of her, about her daughter and being upset. And the image that they use for her daughter, the old woman, is actually her real life mother, which I found to be really cool. And when they cut it out, it caused a lot of animosity between Sigourney Weaver and the studio. And she almost, because of that, did not come back for Alien 3, but we'll get to that.
Yay.
Yay to Alien 3.
Yeah. We're not here to talk about Alien 3 right at the moment. We're here to talk about Alien 2, also known as Aliens. I think that's probably the only thing it's known as. The Bill Paxton movie. That's what it is.
8.4 out of 10.
8 point on your scale?
On IMDb.
Yeah.
Yeah, Bill Paxton,
8.4, like people are crazy, man. This is a 9. Not 9.5, but this is a 9.
Yeah. But Bill Paxton stole the movie.
It's game over, man. It's game over.
Yeah, he absolutely stole the movie on this one, which, funny enough, when they didn't think she was going to come back for 3, I guess they were in talks with him about bringing him back as the main character.
Really?
Yeah, but then, obviously, contractual stuff.
Yeah.
She came back eventually, as we all know.
Yeah, we almost got James Remar in this one, but he has personal issues. Took him out of the running. They filmed some stuff with him, and instead they brought in the old guy from Terminator, the old Kyle Reese. Can't think of his real name, but Michael Biehn. Bean.
So what did you think of the massive contrasting difference between the first and this one? And by that, I
don't
mean,
think there's a massive contrast. I think just slightly. Yeah, I mean, there's
we
more
go
action.
from a small.
I felt like it was the same universe.
We go from a small ship that's basically basing it on survival and isolation to a Full Metal Jacket Vietnam style war against aliens. Like, huge contrast there.
Matter of perspective, I suppose. There's still some small spaces that they're in there. The whole kid in the little tunnels crawling around, Newt. That was still small. When they're stuck in the med bay, they were confined in there. Even the control room where they're trying to talk to the Marines as they're getting murdered left and right. That was a small confined space. Yes, it is a very different movie. I'm not disagreeing there, but I don't think they're light years apart from each other. I think they seamlessly go together.
If they were in an open field, you'd say, well, there was a groundhog hole there. That was a small space.
It's a gopher hole. Well, I mean, you asked my opinion and I gave it.
I know. Sometimes I regret it.
I think the action base of it did lose some of the original essence of it, though. It had flair in different ways. It did take away a little bit more of the horror. It made it less of a horror, a straight up horror, what's coming out of the shadows, and more of a monster movie. More of a Pumpkinhead-esque.
See, I thought it took it
thing.
out of the horror genre and put it more into the action sci-fi because...
Well, I consider creature feature or monsters part of the horror genre.
Okay.
They're still out there to kill you in one way or the other.
Yeah.
And they're not human. And they'll rip your arms off. And there's blood.
Well, and I did enjoy, big difference compared to the first one, was that there was a lot more, in my opinion, not really comic relief, but just...
Little one-liners.
The back and forth between the Marines and,
He's just a grunt. No offense.
Have you ever
None
been...
taken. Yeah, when they jump out of the pods at the very beginning, like that platoon of soldiers, like you can tell they've been in the mud together. Like they've done their Starship Trooper type shit together, and it's great.
So, again, I went down massive rabbit holes of research. In the beginning, when they're all together and, you can just tell that they're, really close, they're ragging on each other, James Cameron purposely filmed that whole portion last, at the end of the whole shoot, the end of the movie.
That's a good choice.
Because, he wanted them to work together on the movie to build that real friendship, that real camaraderie.
Well, it's a good thing he didn't shoot that at the beginning with James Remar, because he would redo the whole... Because there's scenes... from a distance where
he's still in it.
Yeah, but he's kind of turned to the side, and it's Michael Bihn's character. It's Hicks.
Kind of like in Back to the Future when there's some scenes that actually aren't Michael J. Fox.
Little Eric Stoltz running around. Yeah, that's good that they did it that way. What's your favorite scene of part 2?
my favorite scene, it's not like some big action sequence. It's not, you'll notice a lot of my favorite scenes are usually visually pleasing, not so much exciting or, and don't get me wrong, there's some later on that are just fun to watch, but I absolutely love the portion where Newt, the little girl that they find, she's just standing in it's like knee deep water in this little tunnel. And then, I mean, the lighting and everything is great.
The claustrophobic tunnel?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then you just see this xenomorph just stand up behind her, like just raises up out of the water. And it's just such in my opinion, like that is the iconic shot of the movie, not her holding Newt like they put on the cover of everything. That to me encompasses the movie. Like, it shows how vulnerable the humans really are to these things.
I like the med bay scene with her and Newt. Sigourney with Ripley and Newt. Burke turns off the camera when they're yelling at the camera, "Hey, this thing's loose in here!" And he's like, "Blip."
Yep. Yeah, because he wants them to get infected. Yeah,
that was, and thing tried. Give that thing A for attempt, man, because it was on it.
Well, I never understood though why it didn't just get on them while they were sleeping, because it got out while they were asleep.
It was disoriented. I don't know. Had a couple shots too many the night before. I don't know.
But no, I did enjoy that scene as well. I have to say, out of the entire franchise, even the Xenomorphs included, and later on we get David and everybody else, Burke is still probably my top pick for the just downright scummiest villain.
Oh, he's a sleazeball
of the whole series.
Such a sleazeball.
Because he is the epitome of greed. He just wanted that money. He wanted that paycheck. He didn't care
bills,
how many people died, and just the way he went about it was just so sleazy. Like,
I think a runner-up scene now that popped in my head is when they're like, "Oh, they're here. What? I don't see him here. I don't see him anywhere."
In the second one,
yeah, and then they look up in the rafters and they're crawling upside down on the roof of the rafters.
Yes,
that's a pretty badass scene as well. It's game over.
Which, did you know it was simply filmed the other way?
Of course it was.
They just
movie magic.
Yeah, flip the camera.
Yeah.
I see again the practical effects. I love that stuff.
They improved every practical effect from the first one and cranked it up to 11.
So I think Aliens,
except for some of the explosions at the end, but that's just when it was filmed.
Well, or like when the ship's coming down, when he yells "Game over," it wasn't even a green screen. That was literally a giant projector screen behind them playing.
Yeah. And Lance Hendrickson, we can't gloss over the fact that Lance Hendrickson's in this, and he's just absolutely amazing. He's so cool. The knife scene that he does with Bill Paxton.
Oh, okay.
The improvisation that's not exactly how that scene was supposed to go. So Bill Paxton's reaction on his face, he's not expecting them.
Really?
Yeah, to him be like, that's when he's like, ah, that's
which if you watch, you can see kind of small movements. They obviously sped the scene up, but.
Well, didn't somebody get a finger jacked up in real life?
Yeah, in real life, they did screw it up and cut somebody. See, that's the thing. Again, practical effects. Hey, we need you to not cut your hand off, but go ahead and do this quick.
And those two are, if you want to see any more of those two together after dark, I should probably know this if I'm going to shout it out. There's a vampire movie, I'm pretty sure, called After Dark. Lance Hendrickson, Bill Paxton, vampires taking out people. It's great.
That does
Fantastic
sound right.
Movie. So good.
I'm gonna have to watch that. Actually, I'm not a big vampire horror person, but Bill Paxton is just.
Dude, Bill Paxton just eats every scene he's in and spits it back at you.
He is the perfect example, like we talked about before, of actors who never phone it in.
No,
he's there.
He can be the worst movie ever, and he's gonna be great. Another good one, Frailty. He's so good in Frailty. He directed that one, I do believe. So good.
Really?
Huh. Yeah. Alien 2, excellent movie. I don't personally think it's as good as the first one. I think it's extremely close. Depending on the day, like if you just want a good, like you say, claustrophobic movie, throw the first one on. The second one, if you just want to have fun, watch Aliens. But which one do you think's better?
Oh, man. So I do believe Aliens is one of the very, very few movies that I can say came extremely close, if not better, than the original.
It's like Lethal Weapon and Lethal Weapon 1 and 2.
Yes, it depends on what mood you're in. Which one is
Tuesday or
better.
Friday? Which day you watching it
exactly. I mean, so I would almost, if I have to honestly pick one of them, overall, I'm going to have to go with just the classic Alien, simply because you're not supposed to know what's coming. I mean, the second one, okay, you know it's going to show up somewhere. The first one, you have no idea what to expect. Even the characters, they don't know what's going on. Watching them figure it out is just so amazing. I mean, yeah, the Marines had no idea what they were walking into, but at the same time,
I will say the military in some of these movies, like I know a big gripe for a lot of these movies is that the scientists are dumb. These are the dumbest scientists ever. These are some of the dumbest military people ever.
oh yeah,
Like who's running these units? Who's doing the training?
Yep.
Like what is going on? But be that as it may, whatever. It is what it is. But still, they're fun popcorn movies, and I love it.
oh absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Now you want to move on to one that's maybe not so great in the popcorn department. Maybe somebody
Not-
forgot the salt and butter on the
Not
popcorn
just
here.
yet.
No, not yet. Oh, you got some more?
Well, so in my deep dives of research, I did find that apparently the Marines were originally modeled after Vietnam, like that era. And
I get with their turtle helmets.
yes, and seeing how they came across, like you said, is kind of arrogant, kind of stupid. I don't think it was Ridley Scott. I think it was like the one like casting director came out and said like he feels horrible about it because looking back now, like he had a sibling, I think it was, that got drafted into Vietnam. Like looking back now, he realizes like it was disrespectful towards the soldiers.
Interesting.
But I also feel that the way they acted, it completely made the movie. They went into it thinking it's not a big deal.
They acted to me like they should. Like that's a unit of people. Like that's
Yeah.
how people act in the barracks. That's what you
It's
do.
just
You
another
joke
job.
around.
Yep.
It's their military tactics that I found a little lacking. But them just, high-fiving each other and joking around, like that's what happens all the time. But their flanking ability and their reconnaissance, maybe not so
my
good.
last thing on Aliens, and we can move on. How much do you think Sigourney Weaver got paid for this one? And I will say, at the time, the most any actress, so female actor,
42.
had ever made on a movie.
I'm going to say 42.
42,000.
42,000.
She made $1 million.
$1 million.
Contract was for $1 million plus a percentage of box office profits. It was the biggest deal any actress had ever received at the time.
She deserved it because she was, again, she took everything from her Ripley in part 1 and cranked it up in part 2.
Yep.
She played the nightmare stuff. She had the night sweats going on. Like everything was just great.
Yeah, and then we finally finish out with her and Newt on their escape pod. They vent an alien because they do that in like every movie.
Get away from her,
Everyone, yeah.
bitch!
And the we didn't say about the robotic armor.
The robot jocks?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm sorry. It's not as bad as robot jocks.
All right.
No. Robot jocks was... No, that is a great scene. And I guess the problem is I've seen these movies so many times and I watch them so quickly in my head over and over that I just see them as one giant package of amazing.
Well, what did you think
stuff.
about the whole idea of bringing in a big xenomorph queen? I mean,
Well, you can't just be one-dimensional like you were in the first one. I mean,
right.
and that was fine for that one, but you couldn't just play that song again.
Right.
You had to have a couple more hits. And the whole maternal battle, she's battling for this little kid. She's
like her
lost her
surrogate
kid.
mom, which
Yeah.
did you towards the end, Newt does call her mommy.
Yeah. You got to feel a little bit sympathetic. The alien, they're not inherently evil.
Right.
They don't, from their perspective, they're just doing what their instinctual biological clock says. Eat and breed and kill and do whatever.
They should make a movie from the
they're
point
sharks,
of view
man.
of
They're
the
alien
xenomorph.
sharks. What's that?
I want a movie that follows the point of view of a xenomorph raising its family and then seeing Sigourney Weaver come in and slaughter its whole family.
Hashtag Alien Queen was right.
We'll call it Alien Wick.
We'll get into dead dogs later on in the series. Yeah, no, I thought that whole entire, and I never as a kid realized that dynamic in between the two, mommy versus mommy. I never really
It was
thought
just, big alien.
and then she's got the big yellow,
Yep.
But the fact that Alien could like battle that suit, I mean, I know they always show like monsters and creatures are somehow tougher and like they can handle, you see them like even in the Jurassic Park movies, they're like running through buildings and smashing. Like my dog like tries to run up the steps and does it the wrong way. He's like, so
Yeah.
I did like the fact that Alien was, that did hurt a little bit. Like this giant machine did hurt me a little bit, so, but she was tough enough to battle it for a while. Great stuff. You want to move on to worse stuff now? I'm not trying to rush us along here.
No,
I'm trying to chug along.
No, I'm
chugga.
just trying to avoid getting to this movie.
Well, if you remember our text thread off mic about this whole thing. And I was like,
Yeah.
oh, you had said maybe we deep dive and we do a one on each movie. And I was like, dude, I can't do an hour and a half on Alien 3. Like, I do not have that type of energy.
Well, then
man.
I cut it down. I said, oh, let's just do 2 episodes. We'll cover 1 through 3 and then 4 in the prequel. And you're like, no.
No. I mean, granted,
I think 3 and 4 we could burn through pretty quick.
like I credit all those out there who've taken an hour to 2.5 hour their podcast or their YouTube channel, and they have just hammered these things, and that's fine. I'm going to leave that to the experts. You want all the information? There's plenty other sources.
Did Halloweenies do this one?
That is their next season. They're doing the Alien franchise.
Really?
Yes, they are. So they are.
I just recently started following them, and I'm gonna check them out.
Yeah, I love Justin and all those guys. They're great.
The problem is I gotta find a time to check them out in between all my Mysterious Universe episodes. Shout out Mysterious Universe.
Yeah, you're gonna start cheating on the Aussies, man.
Ben and Aaron, if you ever hear this, you are like my podcast idols. You are amazing. It's really funny though because they just recently started doing YouTube, so you can watch them. So they can't edit and post, so they're always like, "Oh crap, I'm not ready." And it's like you're being recorded because they don't cut it out. They just it is what it is, and some of it is just absolutely hysterical.
Maybe one day we'll get to the point where you won't have to edit so much.
Probably
we'll get
not.
that smooth.
Probably not.
Leave my ums and ims and ums out there, man. Just
no, because Emily will yell at us. Remember that was her very first critique was you guys say too much, and that's still the biggest thing I take out is
ooh. Hey, shout out to Emily because she's been listening steadily. I mean, she's 1 episode behind. She said something the other day, and I was like, "That wasn't in the new episode." She goes, "No, the horse, the dead one." It's like the dead horse beatdown. So I was like, "Damn, dude, you're paying attention."
People keep calling it beating a dead horse, and I'm like, "No, it is the dead horse beatdown."
PETA does not allow us to talk about beating dead horses.
Do you people understand how hard it was for me to try and AI generate a beating a dead horse? It would not allow it.
No.
That's why the icon
violence
is just a
allowed.
baseball bat in the corner.
Yeah.
All right, let's do this.
Speaking
Moving
of
on.
dead dogs and
Alien
dead horses and
3.
oxen.
Alien was an 8.5. So Alien 2 is an 8.4. Alien 3 is a 6.4 out of 10. That is a huge drop off for a series that was doing so well.
From a director who
H-Train, what happened?
Listen, this is guy David Fincher. Is that his name?
Yes.
First movie. Didn't do a whole lot of stuff before that. You know,
This is his first movie?
This is his first theatrical movie. I do.
Really?
believe he did.
I didn't know
So,
that.
I mean, this
Okay.
is way back when. I mean,
Wow.
he just put out The Hitman with Michael Fassbender.
Yeah, I was
on
going to
Netflix.
say. I mean, he's just done a bunch of stuff.
Yeah, he's pretty much distanced himself from this movie. He said studio interference. I don't really associate myself with it. It is what it is. I did what I did, and it's over.
It was
I
1992.
I understand there's a lot of turmoil backstage on this one. I don't know specifically who was. I think the studio wanted one movie. I think a writer wanted another movie. This director wanted to do another movie. And you get a lot of spaghetti thrown against the wall here.
I did do, in my reading, I did find that apparently the script changed back and forth between, it was literally like 3 different ideas, probably at least a dozen times.
Did they all have lice in them?
I don't know about that. But the inmates used to be monks.
Yeah.
They used to think Ripley was like the incarnation of the devil. Like, it was just all this stuff that they then changed to inmates. Like,
yeah. Well, I mean, you get somebody like Charles Dance. He's in the movie as the doctor, but from Game of Thrones fame. Fantastic actor. Charles Dutton. Timothy Dutton. Tell me his name. You got the cast in front of you.
I don't have the cast from. I agree.
Anyway, Charles Dutton was in prison, I do believe, for a while.
Yes.
So I thought it was pretty cool that he was in here as an inmate. Charles Dance, great. I don't really know the other actors' names.
So it was Charles Dutton that you're thinking of. He played Leonard Dillon.
Yes, the lead, the pseudo leader of the inmates.
Yes, he was in prison at one time for manslaughter. I don't know the details. I don't want to know the details on that. I just know that they said that he took some acting classes, and when he got out, he pursued acting, and
he's in a lot of good stuff back in the 90s.
He really focused on his prison time for this movie. But as you said, all the back and forth between scripts, you see him being a complete jerk to Ripley at one point and then saving her at the next. Like, it's so back and forth. He has a line.
He's like, listen, I mean, you shouldn't be here, but we're obviously not going to let this horrible stuff happen to you.
But it was so back and forth because there were literally cuts from the different scripts being put together.
Yeah. this is your classic interference.
Do you need a heater?
No, I don't want a heater. I'm just gonna put my blankie on, my horror blankie. Natalie got me.
We can pause and you can get your heater. You can just hug that lava lamp. I'm sure that's warm enough.
Yeah, I put it on all day. I was like, maybe more if it's gonna burn the house down.
You know I'm leaving this all in, right?
Yeah, whatever.
Okay, good.
I'm not scripted, man. Scripts are for actors, and I ain't no actor, homie. Unless you want to hire me, and I'll take money to be an actor.
I would happily be a voice actor if anybody needs to hire a
I would if I was better
squeaky little, nobody.
Spooky little nobody.
Squeaky.
Squeaky. Oh, is that your rapper name?
Yep.
Squeaky little nobody coming at you with nothing. Fantastic. All right, see, we're having more fun joking about that than we are Alien 3.
That's because we don't want to talk about Alien 3.
I think, it was on a lot as a kid on the TV, and I remember seeing it. Maybe the commercials were good because it gave you a break, and maybe my young 13-year-old brain didn't really overabsorb.
It didn't really register what was happening.
It was just, oh, look, there's aliens, and they're not really well done. The effects aren't that great. Now, I do remember there's two different versions of this. The one I watched today, and I think the one you said that you watched, is where the oxen just magically dies, and they don't know why it died, and then the alien bursts out of it. The one I saw as a kid, there's a dog, or I do believe a Rottweiler, that gets
see, the one I saw,
snagged up,
it was all
it's horribly sad.
Yeah, the cow's dead, and you find out that there's now this dog thing, like the demi-dogs from Stranger Things, but in this case, it's a alien dog running around. No, I never saw the one with the dog, and I'm pretty grateful.
It was disturbing. I felt so bad for this dog. Like,
see, I feel like I would really, I would have hated it.
Yeah, it just. Yeah, I know you love your dogs too. I mean, you're...
could you imagine if it tried to get a pug? Like this flat-faced little like alien trying to like run around, and it had to stop every 10 steps, catch its breath. An
alien Toby.
It wouldn't be able to stab you with its tail because it'd be too curled up.
Just imagine the Snyder's
alien
dog.
Toby.
Oh,
jeez.
Could it get more gross?
Our buddy John has a.
Natalie's gonna stop listening to this now.
Boston Terrier that is. It hates me every time it's ever seen me.
Dude, you have a red neon sign
target
straight to your nuts.
Yes, I have a target on my crotch. Every single time that dog comes to me, it somehow nails
rushes
me
you
every time.
Oh, and I've witnessed it 3 times. He is not making this up. This dog has a vendetta for your junk.
Or like it'll be super calm, and I'll be sitting on the couch talking, and all of a sudden it's just like pounce right on my lap.
Yeah, I'm not a huge Toby fan.
Oh, I love Toby, but he's a jerk. There's no way around it. Malachi, tame your dog.
Oh, yes.
All right, so back to the movie that we really want to get through.
Yes, Alien 3. So
look, on a rewatch, it's still a good movie as far as entertainment-wise.
It's still a lot better than a lot of Sci-Fi Channel movies.
Oh, absolutely. So, it's just, I don't think it's a good entry into this franchise.
No, don't start with 3. No,
don't
do that.
No.
Like, Lannister from Game of Thrones is in here. I'll check it out. Don't.
Every movie has its pitfall. This is absolutely one of the pitfalls.
Yeah. I've seen so many roles with Charles Dance, and he's such a good villain. I'm watching this morning, drinking my coffee, and I'm thinking.
You just watched it this morning?
Yeah,
that's great.
And I'm seeing like behind his eyes, it's like he wants to be an evil bastard. Like, I don't think Charles Dance can do, like, he obviously did do, hey, I'm a nice doctor guy, but I expected him to just turn out be a villain in this movie somewhere. Like, even though I know he's not, he's such a cool, evil dude, and they made him a good guy. They should have switched him around somewhere with another actor maybe in the movie. Would it have made a difference? I don't know. I'm not sure a lot could really save this movie. It is my least favorite of the franchise for sure.
Yes.
My least favorite.
All right. So just in case you didn't make it this far into the franchise, which we're not going to blame you if you didn't. Real quick overview of Alien 3. Ripley, Newt, and who'd you say it was? Hicks?
Corporal Hicks.
Corporal Hicks. They're all in their little escape pod after the events of Aliens. You like how I emphasize the S?
Speak parcel tongue.
Long story short, bad things happen. Their ship crashes. We don't know why, which we do know why. And everyone is killed but Ripley. And yes, that's right. Newt, the entire point of the second movie is murdered off camera.
And then she looks mangled too. It's horrible.
It makes me so mad. Like it frustrates me because they went through so much for that sole purpose of saving her.
Yeah, and then they just flown away.
Just kill her off.
They just could have flown away.
And Hicks, fun fact, the reason he was mangled so bad was the actor who was it?
Michael Biehn.
Thank you, Michael Biehn, refused to come back. I don't know why. And he also refused to let them use his likeness on camera. So they had to mangle the crap out of his model, I guess you would say. That way it couldn't be recognized. So
it looked like a big giant shard of metal.
Well, yeah, well, so they wouldn't get sued or anything by him for using it. And I don't know the details, but I guess later he finally agreed to allow them to use his image like a picture, and that's why he is brought up on the screen later as being, you know, like a deceased. And so I don't know what happened there. It's a real shame because I loved his character in 2.
He's a good actor.
But
he's great in the second one for sure.
They crash land on what was originally supposed to be
some sort of ore refinery.
Yeah, but at one time it was supposed to be a planet with monks.
Standard Steel on another planet. That's what it was.
Again, this movie went through many script changes. Long story short, Ripley gets taken in by the prison because it is a prison planet.
Yes, there's only like a handful of prisoners left. Like some of them died off.
There's really no way off, and nobody cares about the place.
No.
Once you're there, pretty much.
Yeah, and it's all men, no women.
Hey, guess what? There's something in Ripley's belly.
Well, and apparently in another creature too, because an ox magically gets impregnated by an alien.
That is true. I didn't think about that.
Yeah, what happened to old Bessie? What happened to
we talked about the dog and the Bessie. But I didn't think about that because you only ever see in like the beginning sequence, I guess, of it crashing. You see what you're 99% sure is a facehugger. I don't remember if they showed it or not.
Kind of melted, and when
they show like the glass on the one pod is broken.
Yeah,
but they kind of lead you to think that it went for Newt, not Ripley. But then you find out everyone's dead except for Ripley. So
when Bishop comes back, you know, because his android body was on the ship as well after he got ripped in half. In part 2. You know, and she brings him back online, and he says, you know, there was an alien on board. They didn't know about it, and that's what happened. She's like, oh, shit, that explains everything. Man, and he's like, please put me out of my misery and shut me down. I don't want to live this way.
Didn't he say something like, I can't feel my legs?
Yeah. And I just pictured Major Payne. You ain't got no legs. Chugga. We're hearing about a little engine that could again.
Oh, jeez. So many movies being thrown in here.
Yes. So they find out there's an alien there.
Yep.
They finally believe her. He starts picking off the prisoners one by one.
That's what that is written down as I think my favorite scene in this movie is when they finally believe her. Because there's a scene where they're in, I think it's the cafeteria, and the warden is like going on this soapbox. There's no alien, you know, get back to work.
This is the facts, people.
And then all of a sudden it just rips him up to the ceiling and he's gone.
What I love about that is his rubber ball.
It just bounces.
Falls and bounces, yes. And I'm like, oh.
But what makes that the best is just a very little bit later, you see a guy mopping the floor there and he keeps looking up.
I was like, who put this guy in the duty?
I know.
Who put him on that part? Like,
hey, we know he just died there, but can you go clean that up?
Yeah, there's like a massive alien up there just snatching people up. Hey, little Johnny, could you go mop that up? Man, talk about the low man on the totem pole right there.
That is my favorite part of that movie. It's not cinematically exciting, like I said before, but it's just that, to me, that was like the comic relief of the movie, was just the way he kept like side-eyeing the whole, like, is it going to come? Is it going to come?
That was a very, very good scene. I don't even know if I had to even choose a favorite scene of part 3. What would I think? Let me replay the movie in my head a little bit. Well, you know, it wasn't in this one, but so I'm going to go with the dog bursting. Not because like, oh, I love to see it, but it was the scene in a horror movie. You're supposed to be disturbed. You're supposed to be frightened, you know,
it caught you off guard.
Yeah. And that was the one as a kid. So I'm going to go with the dog bursting scene.
Okay.
That depending on the scene or the version of this movie, you folks out there are going to snag if you want to go watch it. And we're not saying don't watch this movie. I think it's important, whether it's the great one or not, like it's important to the whole entire overarching story. So I think you should, in all intents and purposes, watch this movie. That way you understand what's going on in the entire series. Because if there's one thing I will give this series for, it is somewhat continuity. You understand from beginning to end of at least the first 4 who these characters are and why it's happening.
And like I said, overall, I mean,
it's not like Terminator.
It's not that it's a bad movie. It just doesn't feel like it matches the flow of the first 2 before it.
If it would have been on its own and not been an alien movie, it would have been interesting.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
with like no Ripley in it, but yet like a different type of alien creature.
If it was like a Sharknado B movie, that's pushing
wow,
it.
that's harsh.
No, but yeah, if it would have been a slightly different aliens attacking this colony movie, I think it would have been great. Yeah. I just think it didn't fit into the overall aesthetic that they were setting, or the tone that they were setting for this
There's
franchise.
a lot of 90s movies that have that dark grittiness to them that bring in, and even the next one's directed by a French guy, but this one even to me has like a French feel to it. I don't know what David Fincher is. I don't know what his nationality is or where he's from, but I feel like there's a lot of movies like around this time, and even some of the Hellraisers and things that had the same colorization, same saturation, the same tone to them. It was a product of its time for sure. And that's, I don't know if I have any much more to say on Alien 3. I really don't. Unless you have specific questions to ask.
Well, it looks like David Fincher was born in Denver, Colorado. So no, he's not quite French.
Oh, okay, well.
But it looks like he did go on. I didn't know this. He did go on to do
great
the movie
movies.
Seven, Zodiac, stuff like that. Like,
what's in the box, man? What's in the box? Can you imagine Bill Paxton doing that scene? What's in the box, man? What's in the box? It's game over.
I wouldn't be able to not laugh.
All day. We've this whole entire time we've been doing this alien thing for the last couple of days. Like every time I catch myself, I'm just out of boredom. I'm like, it's game over. Okay, it won't get out of my head. That's when you know you have a good actor and a good scene.
Oh yeah,
and some good dialogue. Bill Paxton, Weird Science, great.
So other than receiving producer credits, how much do you think our girl Sigourney Weaver was paid for this movie?
She got $1 million the last
30 to 35,000. I said that backwards. Then $1 million. So what was this one? Now keep in mind this was 1992.
Oh, it's still. I'm going to go 74. I think it dropped.
You think it dropped?
I think it dropped.
They had to pay her because remember she didn't want to come back. Remember that?
Okay, so
I told you that
$1.5 million.
$4 million.
What for? What? Oh man!
She received $4 million for this movie.
What was the budget on this movie? I mean,
that I don't know. But I'm gonna guess probably.
Does that mean she gets like 5, 6, 10 million to come back for Resurrection?
I have that written down. We'll get to
Lord.
it.
Okay.
All right. So moving into what I personally feel, and IMDb agrees at a 6.2 out of 10, is the worst in the franchise.
You think it's worse than 3?
Alien Resurrection. I didn't like this one at all.
Ron Perlman.
I did, but I didn't, and I'll explain why.
So I was really afraid because I haven't seen it in a long time. I played the movie this afternoon, and you get the CGI teeth at the very beginning. It looks like I'm watching Transformers Beast Wars, Saturday morning cartoons.
Yep.
And I was like, oh no, I don't remember it being this bad. Is this Babylon 5? Oh no, what is going on? And it did zoom out, but the CGI in this one, they were taking swings, experimenting with some new technology. Did not age well. I don't remember it being like that when I first saw it, but that was when did this one come out now?
This one came out in 1997.
So 97. I was like 14.
Directed by Jean-Pierre Jeunet. I don't know. Your guess is as good as mine. So this one, they actually re-genred as a science fiction horror dark comedy.
Who's doing the classifications?
I don't know.
I think people were just writing things
but
on IMDb.
I don't see how it's a dark comedy. If anything, I think 2 would have been a dark comedy.
Yeah, whatever. I don't agree with that at all.
This one is based 200 years after the events of the first Alien movie. Now, all right, we didn't mention it, but at the end of Alien 3, Ripley discovers, she does have the queen egg inside of her. It's about to burst out. So she goes full on
thermal shock. Because I was like, how did it die? I looked this up. They called it thermal shock.
Well, that was for the one Alien.
Yeah.
Yeah. They how was it?
Because it was weird. It falls in like molten.
It fell in molten
metal.
lead, or they dumped molten lead on it, or something like that, and then it jumped out.
And I was like, first off, how did it survive?
Right,
that?
and then they set off the sprinklers, and the cold water hits the hot skin,
and it screams, and then it just explodes.
It was because the idea was that the cold caused it to constrict really fast, so it basically just destroyed it.
So it survived the super hot metal,
imploded.
But then
it imploded.
Yeah. So whatever.
But, the end of 3, Ripley realizes the queen's in her, about to pop out, so she does a backward swan dive into the lava.
She tries to pull a T-800 and go.
The molten
Now I know
metal.
why you cry.
And I mean, we have Wayland there, the actual Wayland dude. Well,
Yeah.
kind of.
I'm a human. Look at me. I'm human.
Yeah, telling her not to do it. Please let us, let us look at the experiment. Let us get this thing. You'll be set for life. And she's like, yeah, nope, see ya.
Yeah.
Well, this is set 200 years later, and we discover that apparently the same corporation, now owned by
Walmart.
now owned
Now
by
owned
Walmart.
by Walmart, according to one of the characters.
It's they've now been cloning Ripley based on DNA they got from the refinery.
Yes.
To do experiments on her.
I mean, she did cut her hair. I mean, there's DNA laying everywhere.
So, my understanding was that they were doing experiments to try and bring her back in hopes that the DNA they got was already tainted with the alien inside of her, so that they could bring her back with the alien. But it didn't work that way.
I'm surprised in the science of the game of phone here, or the copy or the Xerox. Every time you copy something over and over and over and over again, eventually you lose the original, right? But somehow they got really close to the damn original alien here.
Yeah.
But I mean, advanced science. We're not there yet, I guess. So.
Nope. So yeah, they're genetically the whole movie's based on like genetic engineering and the idea of becoming the master of creation, essentially.
Yeah.
And I can't remember the actor's name, but he plays Wormtongue in Lord of the Rings. That little
Brad Dourif from the Chucky series, man.
He's that.
Now park this piece of shit.
Like
wrong series. I'm
little
sorry.
Worm, like Wormtongue. He's that little worm dude. Like
Well, see, here's the thing to me. In the beginning of the movie, you can already tell he's like a rat dude, but he's not super slimy yet. But then towards the end, when he's up on the wall, that's when he's like really nasty. Yeah. When he's at his most vulnerable, right? That's when he like pulls out his Charles Lee Ray side and was like just.
Yeah. So we find out that the Wayland Walmart Corporation has finally, I guess you would say, trapped.
Well, no, you're incorrect here. You're incorrect. This is not the corporation. This is not Wayland Yutani. This is just
Walmart.
No, this is just the Marines.
Oh, it's Disney.
What are they called?
Oh, you're right.
The United Air. This is
right.
Air Force. It's Air Force.
I forgot about that. Yeah.
Space Force. I'm sorry. It's Space Force.
Basically, Wayland's gone, and this is.
Yeah, this is the military.
U.S. military.
Yeah, well, maybe not the U.S., but
it's
yeah,
U.S.
It's more than likely.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like I said, Space Force. Space Force has taken over the galaxy.
They've finally been able to weaponize, or at least they're breeding.
Yeah. They brought in Daniel Hideta from Commando.
Yes.
They brought him in with all his arm hair. He's so hairy.
Ron Perlman.
Yes, Ron. Oh my God. They brought. I'm surprised David Goyer didn't do this movie. Yeah,
the original Hellboy. Yeah,
all the '90s stars are in this.
I mean, there's
Winona Ryder.
Yeah, I know. She plays the android. I can't remember her.
Call.
Yes.
Yeah, because that's just. I don't remember the first name, but her last name is Call. Like you're calling a cab.
Yep. As I said off mic, in the first movie it was Ash, so the android started with an A. In the second movie it was Bishop, starting with a B. So this one is a C. What was it? Cole.
Call.
Yeah. Sorry, Call. And then, obviously, if you follow the franchise, you know in Prometheus, it's a D, David, which is weird because it goes back in time, but whatever.
Fan theories.
So, yeah, with Resurrection, the whole idea is that they're trying to produce these suckers for weapons, and they can't control them. And we find out quickly they can't control
hubris
them.
thinks right away they can, but they can't. So Ripley now this is Ripley 8. It's the 8th generation clone.
Yep. I don't like her. She is an arrogant, they bred her, cloned her, genetically modified her. So now she is like super strength almost. Well, she's very, very arrogant.
She's very cold and almost non-human.
She's very over-sexualized.
Yeah, I know this is Joss Whedon way back in the day.
It was definitely the writing.
Yeah, I mean, I love Firefly and Serenity, and I do like the first Avengers. Joss Whedon maybe has some issues in his personal life, but you can tell this is a raw Joss Whedon, and there is some lines that she has to deliver that. Now, there's stuff that like Ron Perlman says. I'm like, yes, there's so many 90s movies I've seen him in. That's classic Ron Perlman. Like, that's just the way he does his. Oh, absolutely. But for Sigourney Weaver, it was awkward.
It felt weird. Yeah. It didn't feel right at all.
But overall, I like this movie a hell of a lot more than you do. Now, I don't think it's better than the first two, but I definitely think it's miles beyond part 3. I really do. Yeah, I think it's way better than part 3.
Yeah, what's your favorite part of this one?
Oh man, I mean, there's some. You said dark comedy for this one, right? Or was that the last one?
Yeah, this one has dark comedy. It says.
I did like it when Daniel Hidea tosses the grenade into the life raft that's jumping and it blows up, and then the alien shows up right behind him, and it sticks in the back of his head, and he reaches back there and just kind of pulls a piece of his brain skull out, and he just drops over. There's a couple scenes in here I really like, so I'll just rush through them here really quick so I don't lose them in my brain. When the alien trio realizes how they need to get out of their cage, and 2 of them turn on the one. Brutal.
That is,
like, absolute brutal.
So
and
that is
wow.
my favorite scene.
I started to feel for the aliens a little bit here.
That's my favorite scene. They realize that if they kill the 3rd sibling, the acid blood will eat through the floor and they can escape.
Yeah.
That
Marsha. She got munched on and acid everywhere. And, of course, Ripley's kid. I don't care what it's called in the movie. I've for years, I've always called it Ripley's kid. The scene where it's born, kills the queen mother, but it's like, you're not my mommy.
Literally punches its face off.
Straight decks it.
Leaves the lower jaw, but takes off the whole top half.
That, and then it is so connected to Ripley, just wants a mom, has that weird squeaky. I have this gray cat right now, and I said to you in text that this alien reminds me of my cat on crack. Like, it wants to be so lovey and then just bite you, and then wants to nuzzle you and then bite you.
Oh,
like,
that one.
Yeah.
I thought you were referring to the little white aliens in the beginning of Covenant.
Well, that one too, but I was thinking about all these here. Yeah. Because those are ferocious.
It licks you and then it wants to bite you.
Yeah. And then the death of Ripley's kid. I will say Sigourney Weaver's acting when she's in the corner there and she's just watching, like, I swear she takes her arm and like wants to reach out, but it's already too far gone. She knows her child has to die. This is a creature that's just going to murder everybody. But her maternal instincts want her to save this. And like, you see the tears in her eyes, the sorrow that she has in that scene. Be a not great sci-fi movie, if you want to call it that. Like, I thought it was fantastic. And
I think I figured out the actual movies, all of them, well, at least these 4, Sigourney Weaver, they're simply about how Sigourney Weaver is a shit mother.
Whoa.
All of her kids end up dead.
Not by her fault. Okay, well, the first one, she's out mining because she's probably a single mommy that needs to go make the money.
And then she took a nap for 50 years and let her kid die.
Oh man.
Only to wake up and get demoted.
Hot take right here. Hashtag Sigourney Weaver's a horrible mom.
In the movie.
Ellen Ripley is. Ellen Ripley.
Yeah, Ellen Ripley.
Even 8 generations later, in the scene where she finds Generation 7, laying on the table, begging to be killed.
Yeah.
I will say, though, why did you do it with a flamethrower? Like, you took the time to shoot other things in that area, but you couldn't just shoot. Like, you had to use the flamethrower. Josh, if I'm ever on my last lung of breath of life and you have a flamethrower or you have one bullet, like, dude, please don't use the flamethrower, man.
I would lay you on a hot plate and turn it on.
Cruel. So cruel.
Yeah, I do agree. That was really messed up. That was one of the things I remember most, because I remember catching this on TV as a kid, too.
It was on quite often.
When the hole gets punched in the hull and you see the alien getting literally
the CGI
sucked
after
out.
it, though. Ugh.
Yeah. But you see it getting sucked out from the back and like its skull crushing as the pressure pulls it out into space.
And it's whining. It's like, oh,
it
no.
was very emotional, but at the same time,
it's a newborn.
That was, well, yeah, see, the thing was alive for like an hour. It didn't have time to really learn anything. And that's one thing I always had a problem with, is if you actually look at the movie, it was learning slight human traits from Ripley. How far could that have actually gone?
If she could have like tamed it and just kept it in the bay for a while by herself, they could have contained it somewhere or quarantined it, segregated it somewhere to where it could not have the ability to munch on everybody else. That could have been a really good asset for her anywhere. But no, they just decided to brutally murder this newborn.
Well, and I'm pretty sure Resurrection was the most graphic of the movies.
There's a lot of blood, a lot of acid.
Well, they didn't shy away from it. Like when the newborn bites Wormtongue's head off, well,
just like crunches
skull cap off, like you just see blood pouring down. Like they don't censor any of that. Like it's right there.
Yeah,
they really went for the I can't really call it practical effects on that one because it's a giant CGI creature.
Yeah, well, like they're even swimming. It's very CGI.
But they definitely went for the gore factor in this one, I feel.
There's a scene where it's swimming and the one lady's trying to get away, and she's really not that much of an important character. I didn't learn her name. She doesn't say much. Only her husband, the dude with the really deep voice, the captain, gets killed.
Mm-hmm.
The guy from The Crow, and like the alien, she's swimming, and he just grabs her by the ankle, and the camera just sits there for a second, and then it just slowly pulls her away. Like, I don't know. It was a weird choice of a scene.
Yeah.
Was shot. It was kind of iffy, but yeah.
I will say though, it was really. I think it was a really good choice to show them swimming. I thought that was a really cool aspect because
Adaptability.
Yeah, well, adaptability, and it really showed them they had kind of almost this eel-like fluidity to them. I just thought it was a really cool aspect we hadn't seen in any of them yet.
Well, you would think the way their skin is so smooth,
Except
usually slimy, but still smooth, that they would be able to just glide. It really is like a seal, or like an orca. If you look like an orca's black skin, it's kind of just like that.
So I did feel like they took the action of the second movie and kind of pushed it into the confined space of the first movie, and that's what this was.
Yeah, I can go with that. Kind of like a merging of the two.
Overall, it was an okay movie, but I put it at the bottom of my list. I just wasn't a fan.
Yeah, I think it's a lot like Starship Troopers. I'm not sure when that movie came out, but it seems very reminiscent of that. Or maybe Starship Troopers saw this movie, you know?
Maybe I need to rewatch it, because I haven't seen this one in a long time.
Yeah.
I got through the first three, and then I jumped to Covenant because I couldn't remember much Covenant.
Yeah, I didn't watch Prometheus again. I watched this one on my lunch, or scanned through it on my lunch break, the rest of it, and then jumped to Covenant as well. Because I wanted it. There's some that you have those blind spots you really want to make sure you have them.
Maybe I'll have to go back and rewatch this one then.
Listen, I'm not saying it's a 10 out of 10 or anything, you know. So
I
I'll give the first
expect it to
one a
be.
9.5. I'll give the second one a 9. I give part 3 a 6.5, 7.
Okay.
And I'll give this one a solid 7.
I was gonna give this one like a 5.5.
Wow. Different perspectives.
Yeah.
Moving along.
Oh, before
no,
we
no,
do.
we got more.
No, we don't.
Hold up.
No, we don't.
Do we do? We don't. We don't.
Kind of.
Maybe kind of.
Before we move on, I have to ask you the question.
What's that?
How much do you think she got paid for this one?
Oh, that's ridiculous. 3.5 mil.
She got paid to do this movie $11 million, which was roughly equivalent to the entire budget of the very first movie.
That's crazy. I mean,
Right?
she gave it her all, whether she was good in it or not.
All right, so coming up next, at a 7 out of 10 in 2012, Ridley Scott returned to us for Prometheus.
The god of...
This is one
Fire?
of the most controversial movies. Yeah, it was God of Fire.
Okay.
Well, he's the one that gave fire to humans.
Yeah.
That was the
He's
idea.
the weapon maker?
Something like that. Regardless, this is one of the movies that a lot of people are torn on, like the fan base, because a lot of people hated it and a lot of people loved it.
It made a good bit of money at the box office, I think, though.
So this is set up as a complete prequel to the movie Alien.
In which, when it came out, they weren't really clear. Was it a prequel?
No.
Was it not?
It
Is
was
it an
just-
alien movie or is it not an alien movie?
It was Prometheus. It had absolutely no advertising showing it was Alien. You didn't actually know if it was an Alien franchise until you went to see it at the time.
I mean, smart people are like, so Ridley Scott says he's making an alien movie. He didn't say specifically what alien movie. You're like, okay, when I watched it, I was like, this is an alien movie, right? Like, I just assumed it was. And to me, it is.
Okay.
I mean, if you watch Covenant.
Yeah. No, I can definitely say it is. So yeah, this one really, really explores the themes of creation, like the origins of humanity, trying to like outdo your creators type of thing. It really goes into the idea of playing God.
Yes. And who played God originally.
Yeah.
Ridley Scott, you know, that first movie, you have the space jockey, and I suppose that he was very...
Explain the space jockey to someone who doesn't know the term.
Okay. Space jockey from the very first movie, when they find the spaceship that have the alien eggs, there is a pilot that you just see this massive weight.
Chair.
We're talking like probably 15 some odd feet. I think it's even taller than the beings in Prometheus. Or it was just a suit. I'm not sure. Anyway, there's this big giant pilot. I don't know why they called it the space jockey, but they did. He's a giant pilot that has its chest burst open. And I guess Ridley Scott wanted to know the origins, like where, like that part intrigued him a lot. And so that's kind of gave him some of the inspiration to make Prometheus. So that's where you get like the engineers.
Mm-hmm.
I guess supposedly that's who the space jockey was. I think it looks a little bit different, but
It's supposed to be an engineer.
yeah, I don't know if the spacesuit's exactly the
In
same,
that
but
movie,
whatever.
did you know that there are multiple scenes where Ridley Scott used his own kids in spacesuits to make it look even bigger? Because
did
the
not know
model
that.
was only so big.
Huh.
How about that?
The more you know.
And the studio actually wanted to cut that whole scene for cost savings. And he said, no, it needs to be there. And I mean, I'm glad it was. It added to the depth.
It's world building.
Yeah, absolutely.
Universe building, rather.
No, absolutely.
Yeah, so this one talks about the engineers. You know, you get to see them at the beginning spreading some sort of black, gooish spore stuff that's like the building blocks of life. You know, it doesn't explain where they came from. I've seen it a few times. The first couple times I saw it, I was a little confusing about exactly what they were doing. You know, they don't speak English. You know, they don't speak common.
Right.
And there's a ship called the Prometheus that is... There's some caves that were found way back in the day that point to the stars. And so this ship in the now future is going to go find out, you know, where this all came from. They're going to find out who our creator is. That's their whole mission. You get some pretty big names in here. Idris Elba's in there. And yeah, he's in there.
Is he?
Yeah.
I didn't even take notice of that.
Yeah. I almost forgot he was in it for a second.
What's the dude from Iron Man 3?
Terrence Howard.
No,
it's not. Oh, Iron Man 3. Oh, yes. The guy who plays the original Wayland dude.
Yeah.
Guy Pearce.
Yes.
Guy Pearce.
Well, yeah, Guy Pearce is in it as old man Wayland, but that is him. And then he comes back in Covenant as younger.
He's the one that
Wayland.
has made the androids.
Yeah, he's the one who designed the androids. He's the one funding this entire expedition. I mean, we find out pretty quick that he, essentially stowed away on his own ship on this expedition.
Yeah, it doesn't tell anybody he's on there.
Yeah.
He definitely views himself as somebody super important as a god, because as soon as he wakes up, what does he have David do? Wash my feet.
Yeah.
I mean...
and like I said, David, played by Michael Fassbender, is the android in this one.
So good.
A very self-aware version of the android.
You know, all his safety bumpers are on either.
Yeah. And he becomes a major plot. I mean, almost everyone has an evil android.
Yeah.
Well, I guess
Bishop never went crazy. He never went bad. He even says, "Oh, that must have been when he talk about Ash." It's like, "Oh, that model that there you go.
Yeah.
They were glitchy. They were messed up. I'm not like that. I'm better."
Yep.
You know? But this is way before Ash.
Yeah,
this is before Bishop. This is somebody on a podcast apparently found a timeline somewhere. So I'm just going to go with their info, and they said that in Prometheus, Ellen Ripley is about 2 years old.
Okay.
And in Covenant, she's like 12. So this isn't actually as far away from the OG Alien movie as I first thought when I watched it, until I looked into this timeline stuff. Yeah.
So in the original Alien, the Xenomorphs are actually...
I'm guessing she's like 30-ish.
I mean, so the Xenomorphs are actually still fairly new to life. So
yeah, like they haven't been around forever.
Wow. All right.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
And you might be going, well, what about AVP? We're not getting into those ones on this episode. We will get to those, but they are not officially part of this timeline. The TVA made sure.
They're not part of our timeline.
I like the first one.
Yeah.
But we're not there. We're not there.
We do discover in this movie, the engineers have a hatred for humanity, I guess.
Or we're just weaker versions than them.
Yeah,
we're fragile,
they don't
stupid.
like us anymore. Because the idea was that our DNA is exactly the same as theirs, that they created us. Again, this is a finding your maker type movie. And that something happened where they decided to wipe us out. And that's why they were creating this pathogen, I guess you would call it.
The black goo.
Which I did read an interesting fan theory. And I guess it was originally supposed to be part of the movie, so it's technically canon, but it was taken out to avoid controversy, that humanity had strayed so far away from their original purpose that the engineers created them for. So they sent an engineer, like a delegate, to go, work with them, and they killed the delegate.
Oh, that makes sense.
Named Jesus Christ.
Oh, my Lord.
And that's why they wanted to wipe them out.
No pun intended.
And I guess they took it out because they knew that was going to be incredibly controversial.
Yeah, that's ballsy.
Now, you can still keep the same idea, but as soon as you assign, even if you use Muhammad, as soon as you assign a name to it, you're stepping into some pretty dangerous areas.
How many Romans would it taken to take that engineer out?
Oh man,
these dudes the guy that plays him is like almost 8 foot. Like he's a big dude. He's like 7 foot something.
He's huge.
He's a massive guy. And you see in this movie the engineer, David's no match for the engineer. Old man Wayland's match for the engineer.
That's one of my favorite parts. The engineer basically gets, first off, he's impressed that David can speak their language. And then he's just annoyed that the old man Wayland's trying to hey, save me, make me young again and all this crap. So he literally rips David's head off at the shoulders and beats Waylon with it, mortally wounding him. He does die.
Yeah.
And Michael Fassbender's head is just laying there like, whoops.
So that just happened.
Yeah.
I mean, you got some cool stuff in here. There's
The squid
creature. One of my favorite scenes is at the end, the engineer fighting the squid creature and losing. I appreciate the snake creature that breaks the dude's arm, the snake breaker. It's breaking my arm, man. Cut it off. Like that.
Yep.
And I will agree with all the fans out there that was, listen, you're not Steve Irwin, and even Steve Irwin, like, crikey, I'm going to get back in my ship. Like, dude, like,
nope.
There's no way.
That's called a nope rope.
Nope rope, absolutely. Yeah, but the fact that snake jacked that dude up hard, and I greatly enjoyed it.
See,
and it just, you hear the cracking of his arm,
that
like the cartilage.
Say, like, they really got in there.
It's brutal. This is a brutal movie.
When I originally watched it, I watched it with headphones, and you hear every little detail.
Yeah, it's great.
I was gonna say, one thing that gets me though is they really go into the as soon as you're infected type of thing. Like you're basically screwed.
Yeah,
because the one guy's like begging for them to kill me. So what do? They flamethrower the man.
It's the quickest, humane way is to catch somebody on fire.
But then the other dude comes out that I'm trying to remember, like his helmet's all smashed, his head's like all swollen up, and he's just like raging, like throwing people around the docking bay. And
yeah,
I don't remember how they put him down. Probably a flamethrower.
More than likely, just burn them, roast them, and toast them.
Grab that lighter and spray paint.
Light them up, smoke them. Yeah,
the action in this movie I thought was pretty top notch.
The action, and the CGI is pretty good too. Like just to see the infected veins on the one guy.
Well, and it taught everybody a valuable lesson that if you're running from a falling spaceship, run to the side. Don't run in the path.
I've heard about this thing that people have been talking about.
Well, they say like, if you watch this big C-shaped ship crashes and is rolling perfectly straight down like a banana onto its back.
Yeah.
And the girls they're running directly away from it in the path it's rolling. And the one girl's like, I'm going to veer off to the side and get out of the way. And the other girl just keeps running straight and gets rolled right over. Like,
yeah, not the smartest move.
Okay, first of all, it's huge. I understand that. And I know it's coming down on you quick, but it's huge. You have time to make a decision. So
we're gonna mythbuster this. We're gonna get a giant ship. We're gonna have you start running.
Well, so I've seen different deep dive YouTube channels where they break down movies. Anytime someone does something like that, they always say, and you can see they went to the Prometheus school of running away from things.
Oh, man.
But all in all, I mean, I give this movie a solid 7.5. I enjoyed it. And I
give it an 8.
Keep in mind,
solid flick.
This was the first one I saw. So I saw the original years and years ago.
Okay.
When I decided to do a full rewatch, I was told start with Prometheus, go to Alien Covenant, and then do the original.
So they told you chronologically.
Yes. I wish I would have done it release order, but doing it the way I did, I don't know, it helped me understand things later a little bit more. Like
Did it take away the jump scares or anything from the original Alien? Because, there's probably creatures somewhere.
Yeah. No, I mean, Grant, I've seen it before, but at the same time, it had been like 20 years since I'd seen it, understand?
Okay.
Knowing exactly what they're going to look like, I feel like it definitely took away from it on my rewatch after 2 decades.
That's why I'm kind of glad that there's movies like Alien that came out, like Alien or Jaws, movies along that line that I got to see as a young kid, where there wasn't the internet, there wasn't other things to spoil. I wasn't flipping through my Instagram and going, got spoiled right there in the headline.
We just talked about this on the, our last episode. Spoilers and leaks and stuff, it ruins it for us. I don't want to know what's coming. That's why our one viewer said, "Hey, put a spoiler warning," because
spoilers.
He does not want to be spoiled. He likes.
And I commend that, because I don't want to be either.
Except for the fact that he doesn't listen to our episodes when he thinks he's going to be spoiled.
Well, now he knows to watch the Alien movies first. You know what he could do, and I usually do this with the Halloweenies, is if they're doing a franchise, I will try to watch along the movies with them.
So they announced what they're going into?
Yeah, so they did a season on the Scream movies.
How long is the season?
However long the movie series is.
Or so they might have a couple bonus episodes. Out, for the next 3 months we'll be covering this.
Yeah.
So okay.
Yeah, we're gonna do all the Jason movies.
Oh, yeah,
gonna
we're
do all
not
the
that
Freddy
organized.
movies. No, definitely not. No, these guys, they're professionals, man. They've been doing it a minute. They're great at it.
Steep got a hold of me, and he said one of the things he was going to recommend was we do a watch and review of all the Godzilla movies. But after hearing the Dead Horse Beatdown, he said, "No, never mind. I don't think H Train will go for it." I'm like, "You're right. I don't think he will."
You know, I like to acquiesce some requests, but I'm gonna have to deny. I can't do the Godzilla movies. No. I apologize. Somebody's gonna pay me to. Well, that's a whole new story. But no. But anyway, we'll stay on track. Gotta stay on track.
Focus.
Prometheus. It's a couple good or big name actresses. One actress, big name. You're looking at me like you didn't look at the cast. You have
No, I did, but I'm trying to.
Charlize Theron.
Oh, yeah, she's
Yes.
the one that didn't know how to
She is-
zigzag. She ran straight.
She is the daughter of Wayland. Yeah.
Yep, she's the one that ran directly away from a falling ship. Yeah.
Yeah, she has
I have no respect for
maybe
her.
not romance with Idris Elba.
Oh, you know she.
Yeah.
did.
The only thing about these movies is as the series progresses, there's characters that I kind of know they're there, but I don't know their names and I don't find them important enough to like. There's no Corporal Hicks here. There's no Bill Paxtons here that just steal the screen time for me. That they stick with me.
Right.
So like I remember some of these people getting murdered and killed off. I remember how it happens, but I don't necessarily. And I could have watched this movie last week. I mean, I just watched Covenant this morning, and I'm still trying to remember the names of the people.
Tennessee.
Well, I know who Danny McBride is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I know what you mean, though. Well, in my opinion, the problem with like Prometheus and Alien Covenant, and even I would say even Resurrection, really, was the cast got a little bit too extensive. Just in the sense that they were trying. Too many people wanted to be part of this. Too many people wanted to get their name on the franchise, and it was almost like they didn't say no enough. So when you get that big of a cast, you tend to not care about some people.
Yeah, like even the dude in Resurrection with the wheelchair.
Yeah.
Like he takes a whole wheelchair apart, makes a gun. That was a pretty cool scene. What was his name?
Don't know.
No idea.
Every Marine in that movie is Ron Perlman to me. Everyone.
Where's the army guys? Where's the army guys? Yeah, I mean, it does have the one dude from Next Friday, the Latino actor that survives. I'm pretty sure he was in Next Friday, and he was pretty good in there. You want to show this? This is my Aztec warrior. Maybe it was him. I don't know. He's been in a couple movies like that. So, it doesn't matter. Maybe I'm wrong.
How much money do you think Sigourney Weaver got off this one?
Well, she wasn't in this one.
Yeah, I know. So probably nothing. I don't know.
She was not in this movie.
I would assume nothing.
You just try to trick me with this fancy whiskey you brought over. You're trying to trick me.
The thing is, though, there's a chance that she got some type of, or she might have a deal where she gets royalties off the franchise in general. I don't know.
Well, they never mention her name because it's like her character is 2 years old,
Right.
so there's no. I doubt she got any.
I don't know. No.
You know, maybe she was an executive producer somewhere. I didn't see her name on the credits when it first rolled up, but no.
I think by this point she had officially separated herself from the franchise. Honestly, I don't think you'll see her come back for even the show.
Romulus.
Yeah, I don't think she'll even do a cameo. I think she's done.
Yeah, which is, I mean, but she came back for Ghostbusters, so I'm not saying never say never.
I am, because if she comes back, that kills continuity. Because the show, we'll get to it, but the show is supposed to take place between Alien and Alien 2. If she shows up and she's not in a cryo sleep floating past, they just ruin that continuity.
Well, my whole thing is if it's a TV show, people love to do time jumps.
No,
they love to do flashbacks. They love to do shit like that. Listen, they're doing a Friday the 13th TV show. Okay, so. And they're doing a Michael Myers TV show. But anyway, back to Aliens Xenomorph time. Even though these are not Xenomorphs yet.
All right, so moving into
not the ones we know.
Final entry. Are you ready for this?
Well, did you give your rating for that one? Did you?
I gave the IMDb rating, yeah.
No, what was your rating for Prometheus?
I think I said
you did. 7. You said 7.5.
7.5.
I gave an 8.
Because I genuinely enjoyed it as a movie, and the fact that they tied it into the franchise the way they did, I like a good origin story. Even though I'm not a gore person, there were some really memorable parts in that movie.
I got a question for you. Because you said you like to know the origin of the things. I've heard people say, I didn't need to know who the space jockey was. Who that pilot was, I didn't care. The fact that it was a mystery made it better. There's a lot of people that go, once they decided to explain why Michael Myers was killing people, they ruined it. Are you a person that wants to know the reasoning and the methodology behind something or what caused something? when it comes to like prequels and explanations, or are you more of the side, let's let it be a mystery because the mystery is what makes it exciting and or scary depending on the genre?
I enjoy a good leave it blank. I don't know how it is. I like to troubleshoot it, think about myself. But at the same time, I love when they finally come out and show you the background of how something got where it is. Like, if they would have done a prequel to Back to the Future, and now I don't mean now, I mean like back when they were making the movies.
That would have been confusing.
If they finished the third one and decided to do a prequel showing how Marty and Doc met, how the time machine got built, his deal with the
Russians or whoever it was, Scandinavians.
Bolivians, I think I would have loved that. I really do.
So what I'm kind of getting from your answer is it depends on the property. It depends on what it is.
Like in this case, yes, it had a mystery to it. But as someone who I would definitely say I'm a casual viewer of the series, or at least I was until recently, turns out I really enjoyed the series.
So knowing hypothetically who the space jockey was,
it doesn't ruin anything for me. It doesn't ruin it.
Oh, that's
because you still don't really know who it was. We still don't know.
And that was my stance on it. You don't know it was specifically an engineer.
Well,
engineer-esque person.
We still don't know it because in the little holographic flashback, you could almost say, you see them all running down the hall.
I think they'd have better holographic stuff. But
we still don't know who they were running from.
It's kind of like Star Wars. I think they'd have some better holograms.
But we don't know who all these engineers were running from. We don't know what they were under attack from. We don't know if there was a xenomorph loose, which there couldn't have been because they weren't made yet.
You have all those canisters, and you have all the goo. It's interacting with other bioorganisms and morphing in different ways. Who's to say there wasn't another chestburster that was created by some other biological
And that's
means?
one fan theory was that there was actually warring factions of these engineers. Like,
there's warring factions of
saying,
predators, so why not?
Because we found out that they wanted to wipe out humanity. Well, maybe there was another faction that wanted to let them go. No, this is our experiment type of deal. And they ended up fighting, and it went too far. Now, I mean, I don't know. To me, that's still a mystery that just adds to the world.
It's glorious. I agree with you.
It really is.
Yeah.
So Ridley Scott, if you're listening, we do this every time. No one's ever listening.
Ridley Scott is definitely sipping some scotch right now, going, "Man, those two boys."
He's sitting there saying, "Man, they got this all wrong."
Yeah.
It was actually a metaphor for the Berlin Wall.
Yeah. What are you? Taking some acid, listening to a Pink Floyd album, and decided to come up with aliens.
Ridley Scott, right now, he's like, you would run straight to.
And the thing is, it wasn't even just Ridley Scott's idea. Like, there was a whole other writer that came up with this whole franchise, and we glossed over all that. But
that's okay.
Yeah, it's all good. So
that's
we got one movie left.
In all seriousness, if you're listening to this podcast, you don't care who did the music, probably.
Oh, I'm glad you brought it up because I'm watching part 2. Right?
Aliens.
And I'm listening to that music, and I thought their ship was going to go into the Mutara Nebula from Star Trek, The Wrath of Khan, because James Horner, amazing composer.
Fun fact.
Is this a Goldsmith Horner thing?
It's almost exactly the same. In one of the deep dive videos I watched
they brought
to
back
recap it, they played them side by side. They are almost exactly the same. They're just done in different keys to make one more dramatic than the other. So you're saying it reminds you of Star Trek? It's because it's right from Wrath of Khan.
That explains it. Because I have a Spotify playlist of all the Star Trek.
I'm more than sure you do.
All the ones they actually have on there. And I love the Goldsmith, but man, the James Horner one, Wrath of Khan's soundtrack was really good. And so
and every one of these entries has an amazing soundtrack.
I like the little flute stuff that they do in Covenant that was from the very first Alien. That very subtle flute type deal.
They actually make it out that they were playing.
I'll finger it for you. The whole flute thing.
Yes. Yep.
Spoiler warning, there is some fingering going on in Alien Covenant.
He literally tells them to blow it, and I'll finger. Yeah.
You only had one hand and a stump. I mean, what are you going to do? It sounds like one of those bad bar jokes. So 2 androids walk into a bar.
So I was only half watching it today while I was at work. So I was more listening to it. Movies like this, you can kind of visualize it as you hear it.
Yeah.
It got to that part, and I just stopped. Like, I did not remember that line, but there it is.
There it is, yeah.
So we're going to put that on a t-shirt.
Should.
On the front, it'll say, "Game over, man," and on the back,
"Game over, man."
Somebody
needs to mash those 2 scenes up somehow. But anyhow,
I will do my best.
Yeah. So we're on to the very last movie here, Alien Covenant. So you have a colony ship. They're a bunch of humans are going to drop off some people onto a colony. They're going to make a colony.
They are 7 years out from their destination planet.
They need to recharge their sails. They have another android, Walter. Definitely not an E. If you're going with the alphabet.
That really annoys me.
But I mean, they're on the other ship.
But it is played by Michael Fassbender again. It's just a new iteration of that model, I guess you could say.
So they're gonna recharge the old sails. They put the sails out to recharge the batteries.
They should have brought Ian Holmes back for it.
Yeah, with a ring. Precious. Solar flare hits. Apparently, that's a big trope in sci-fi. It's either an asteroid that happens, like an asteroid storm,
or like
a
neutrino something.
Neutrino burst. That's
how
big
you
in
get
Star
Dark
Trek.
Phoenix.
Yeah. So the ship gets messed up a little bit. They have to wake people up. James Franco gets burned alive. Flamethrower. They don't purposely flamethrower him, but he does get burned.
So I was going to ask. I know every listener knows that you're such a big fan of James Franco.
Listen, I think his acting was fine as a personal human being.
Hey, lay there, let us catch you on fire. Okay, so if you haven't seen
how much you got paid for that.
If you haven't seen it, James Franco is the captain. While everybody's being woken up because of this emergency, his cryopod malfunctions.
They put that giant wrench on it to try to open it.
Try and pry it open.
Yeah.
It malfunctions, and my assumption was the artificial oxygen inside something sparked, and it just turned into a
reminds me of the
stone
Venture
brick
Brothers.
oven. It just burned him alive.
The Venture Brothers version of the Fantastic
But he never
Four.
woke up for it, so that's a blessing. He didn't wake up for it.
Yeah, so that happens. Well, they end up getting
it happened like the first 5 minutes of the movie. It's like, wow, that's setting a good tone.
Yeah, they had a good pitch black vibe to it for a second. So I hear this signal, because that's what happens. They always got to hear a signal.
Yep. After
from
they
a planet,
fix the sail.
And they're like, well, this planet's way closer than the planet we were going to, so let's Billy Crudup, the new captain.
It was something like it's 10 times more inhabitable than the one that we're going to.
It's too good to be true.
And we don't even know if the one we're going to is really that good, so we should check it out.
Yeah. So a lot of people agree. One lady, of course, does not.
Well, yeah, her husband just burned alive.
And just because we glossed over this as well, at the end of the last movie, Elizabeth Shaw, this character, Michael Fassbender's David.
She's the only human left alive.
Yeah, they survive because she's all about faith and she wants to, still believe. They take one of the alien spacecrafts with all of the black goo and the canisters, and they speed off to go find the engineer's home world.
Yep.
Right. So these guys get a signal on this colony ship. They're like, let's go check this one out. It's right around the corner. And they decide to land. No helmets whatsoever. Not even. They walk right off the ship with no helmets.
They did a reading. It was fine.
Yeah. Right. Like, I understand, like, if you're walking around for a little bit and they're like, oh, let's check it out.
The whole movie could have been avoided if they wore helmets.
Probably. Yeah. So they go down there. People get infected. Things go sideways. You find out David is there.
Yep.
David has...
Well, and you find out it's no longer a liquid goop. It's now sometime metastasized into a spore.
Yeah, he basically says that this thing, he's experimented with it and it killed all the fauna.
Mm-hmm.
Anything that's not flora, it has killed on the planet. Except for him, because he's an android.
Yeah.
And he's been experimenting, having a good old time. He decided to dispatch Miss Elizabeth Shaw, even though he calls her my sweet Shaw. And while some new aliens pop up, they look a little bit closer to the regular aliens you would know, the Xenomorphs.
The white ones?
The white ones, yeah, which are, again, like my cat on crack.
Oh, okay, well, real quick.
They're speedy.
We cannot gloss over that part.
All right,
go ahead. The med bay. When I first saw that, and even today, rewatching it, so
the backburster.
They bring the one guy back to the little landing vehicle who, what was it? He got the spores that went into his ear, and he's struggling. He can't stand up. He's starting to throw up blood. They finally get him in the med bay. They start taking his jacket off so they can try and check him out, and they literally see spikes and lesions basically on his back starting to rip open. And yeah, she's like, I
gotta
go
check my my chia pet. Runs out the door and locks the door.
I left the oven on. She walks out. Yeah, she locks the door and she goes and radios up to the main ship. She comes back and okay, it's bad.
She grabs a shotgun of some sort.
Yeah, he's full on season.
Slipping on blood.
But what killed me was
who put that banana peel there?
She gets back and the dude's his spine is literally like pressing, like his spine is literally ripping out of his back. It's this, this creature ripping its way out. And the other chick is like, oh my gosh, please let me out. And she's just like, I can't.
She's like, nah, I can't do that.
I can't. And I remember watching this, like, just open the door. Open it and shut it.
Yeah, but that chick had blood all over her face, probably in her mouth. But even though the chick that ran out had blood on her face and in her mouth, like, you're probably already infected some way.
Then this thing, it finally bursts out. She falls and it attacks her. And I'm so glad they didn't show it because it was just ripping her face apart.
Yeah, like they did it in a way to where it was on top of her, but you couldn't see, like,
thankfully,
her cheeks getting
like
if it had been done in like the last 2 years, you definitely would have seen it because there's been some wicked movies out.
It had to have been so brutal. And then, long story short, she tries to shoot it. It chases her through the ship. She shoots
on blood.
She shoots an oxygen tank. The whole ship goes up.
Yeah, but boom, goodbye.
Right as the captain and them are getting there.
That was Tennessee's wife.
And guess what you see? You see her crawling out the ramp on fire.
I never realized until this podcast right now that there is so much fire burning going on in these movies.
I'm very confident if we go back through it, every single movie has it.
So every time you see fire, you take a shot in an alien movie.
Every time someone does something stupid, oh, never mind.
Anywho, then they find out, they talk to David and Walter talks. There's a cool scene where our alien jumps at the Wayne girl. I can't think of her name. And he punches the alien right in the skull.
I have it pulled up. Jumps at who? The main character?
Yeah, the main
Daniels.
Girl. Daniels. Yeah, that's right. Punches it right through the skull, pulls out his arm, and he has a nub. Like his hand has already been like melted off.
So he punched it, but it like melted his hand completely off.
And then it runs off.
Thankfully,
he doesn't even die. That thing like lives.
No, but then it comes back with. I think they come back with friends.
There's one other one. I think.
Okay.
One other one. Yeah, because and then there's the other dude. I had to keep rewatching. I thought he just hurt his leg or something. He gets infected, and then the alien rips out of his mouth.
Yeah,
because you said he was laying on his back.
Yep.
So instead of coming out of his back, it rips out of his mouth.
He's the one that he leaned down and was like poking one of the mushroom-looking things.
Oh,
and the spores went right up his nose.
Yeah.
Yep.
The other guy accidentally kicked it. Oh.
Like the other guy stepped on it when he went to take a leak, but he was actually just smoking and flicking his butts everywhere.
Just like smoke a cigarette?
Listen, people, don't litter. Don't throw your butts everywhere. Just stop smoking. Bad things happen, apparently.
Very much so. Smoking's bad.
But yeah, that thing, it rips up out of his throat and lower jaw. They show that. That's brutal.
Yeah, this is probably the most brutal of all the movies. Prometheus was there, but this one's like, we're going to give blood, and blood.
Well, there's one part where, because they're like these little white rat monkey looking things.
They're mankeys.
The one, like, it whips around and you very briefly see its tail catch the guy in like the jaw, and it takes his whole jaw off.
Yeah, like I had to watch that like over. I was like, how did it get him?
Oh man, it
was quick.
It was very quick, but it was there. It was there. And then David shows up with a flare, gets them all into the safety of this big like stone castle that you find out used to belong to some engineer type people.
Yeah, the Pompeii guys.
Yeah.
We find out that David's like, we got here and accidentally, through happenstance, we murdered everybody. But, like, it malfunctioned. That's why
we accidentally carpet bombed this city. What can I say?
I love the smell of carpet bombing in the morning. Yeah, well, then Walter finds out later, he's like, you've been lying. Yeah, because the one chick's like, I don't believe this is what's going on. Something's not right here. And he's like, I'll go talk to him brother to brother. And which I found to be a very interesting way of putting it, that it's not just, it's another android unit. No, they view each other as the same. Right.
Right? But Walter has upgrades that David doesn't.
Regeneration.
The newer model had a little bit of regeneration added, and there was something else. I forget what it was. Oh, it was inhibited, so it couldn't be quite as free-willed as David's model.
It was supposed to be more attentive, less creepy. Because he even says here, he's like, you were creepy. You were creeping people out. Your model creeped people out.
Well, and he even said, like, how David, you very clearly is in love with Shaw. That was her name, right?
Yeah, from the...
Yeah, Shaw, thank you.
The other one.
And he says about how Walter's in love with Daniels, and he's like, no, I'm just doing my duty. Like, he doesn't view it as a caring thing. He views it as, this is my job, this is what I was programmed for, that's it. Yeah,
he was so in love with Shaw that he kind of
killed her, dissected her, turned her into a Geiger painting.
Yeah,
that's
some wicked stuff.
And I'll tell you, probably in my opinion, one of the most disturbing, we'll put it that way, the most disturbing parts of this whole movie, though, was the little white rat thing when we'll say it poke-evolved. It evolved into the next level. And it's like this standing up straight, 7-foot tall, man-looking thing. Like
with, like, no face?
Like, full posture, no face, but this giant mouthful of teeth. That was just creepy. Like, that was just straight up, like, the girl turns around and there it is.
And just looking at her and then...
And you, for a brief second, you see its mouth open and come down on her shoulder.
And he's just watching from the shadows.
It was just...
Yeah. Billy Crudup comes in, takes it out, then he tricks Crudup into getting a facehugger.
Floating in the pond.
Yeah.
Or the sink thing. Like, oh, my word.
Yeah, so, like, just a lot of mess happens. And then the two androids fight each other.
Man, you're
ninja
right.
style.
This is probably the most gruesome of them all.
There's decapitations, there's people on fire, there's
tricks.
When they see the infection, when it happens to everybody, it happens so quickly, it's just gross.
Yep.
They're like all their liquids are coming out.
It seems like it's
sweaty
really
and
fast compared to the first Alien. Like the first Alien, he had time to recover, sit down, try and eat breakfast with everybody before the chestburster happened. This seems like that's fast.
Well, one of the issues, what we talked about off camera, we're off camera, off mic, is there was supposed to be a movie after this one, and I believe there's one missing chunk of this storyline that I don't know if we're ever going to get that might explain the differences of things.
Like follows more of the evolution behind it?
Yeah, because like you asked, how did that one ship get there? Was it the same type of ship? And it's not. So how did that one get there? I think we're missing a piece of the puzzle.
Yeah, because we had the crashed ship on this planet that David and Shaw brought here from the planet that they landed on in Prometheus.
Well, it's definitely an engineered ship.
Well, in Prometheus, there was a crash ship. Or is that the one they flew? I don't remember. But then there was the crash ship that they found in Alien.
Basically, engineers crash everywhere. They're like the United States Air Force that apparently just crash all over the place. Well, and no disrespect to anybody that's died.
Because then there was one in Alien 2. They found one in Alien 2 just hanging out up on a hill.
Yeah, they just crash ships everywhere.
Can I just say, though?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Thank
maybe.
You. One of the most impressive acting jobs, though, in this whole movie was Danny McBride. I'd never seen him do an actual serious part. And
he wasn't over the top.
But when he was over the top, it was completely understandable. He was freaking out about his wife.
What I mean he wasn't
like animated over the top.
Tropic Thunder,
right,
gemstones over the top.
Like I thought he was perfect for this role. I thought it was great. I really did.
Yeah, when he wants to take the ship down to the 800 meters and...
Well, it goes down to, 80 meters? It's the threshold. He's like, let's go to 40.
Yeah.
I thought for sure...
He's like, you can't be doing that.
I thought for sure they were bringing the whole thing down.
Yeah.
I did.
Yeah.
And the CGI in this one, I thought was just really, really nicely done.
The only complaint
I had was when the final evolution, like the chestburster, comes out of the captain. I can't remember what his name was.
It's Billy Crudup. That's all I know.
It's Billy Orem.
Jesus.
Orem.
Who played Jesus? Didn't he play or wanted to play?
I don't know.
He was Jesus in one of those.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Orem.
He was the golden guy that jumped off the roof. I know that in the Rockstar movie.
He's the captain that takes over after James Franco gets flamethrowered. After he gets tricked into taking a facehugger.
Yeah, he's like looking at the egg sac. He's like, oh no, take a closer look. Oh, right, this one? Yeah, that one right there.
Annoyed me. That annoyed me so much.
Oh, what's that? Ugh!
Yeah.
Like, come on, dude.
The chest burster on him, the CGI there looks so rough.
When he raises his arms and it's mimicking David, it was very, everything else was done pretty well, but that was,
it was like
because it was slow.
Translucent little puppet bone things.
Well, I do like speaking of puppets, like the zoo that he has of the dead aliens in his laboratory.
Oh, like the egg dissected in the slices.
And then he has like the one little baby creature that has died, and he took really cheaply made sticks and made a little stand for it. It was
creepy, but
morbid.
Good.
Isn't a word we haven't used yet, but it's kind of morbid.
Yeah. Well, he didn't view it as, anything more than experiments at the time.
Yeah. And
then when the big white thing, when he's like, if you blow on a horse's nose, it'll trust you for life. And
then he screams after he gets shot. No!
Yeah. Like that was weirdly an emotional scene.
Mm-hmm.
It shouldn't have been, but it was. Like
it's that maternal stuff.
Michael Fassbender is such an over-the-top actor.
Ever since 300, man, this dude's been great.
In a good way. Like he played a Magneto perfect. Like he played this part perfect.
So a long time ago, the only way you could really get movies is like there was no subtitles. Well, I tried to watch that movie with no subtitles, and there's the the Italian language and everything. I was like, what the fuck is going on here? Yeah, I don't know if I've ever finished that movie, but anyhow.
But yeah, like Prometheus, this movie received incredibly mixed reviews. I don't know if I said it, but it was a 6.4 out of 10 on IMDb. I personally give it a solid 7 right there with Prometheus. I found it incredibly entertaining. I like the backstory. I mean, I'm not a diehard like some people, so maybe you can hate me.
I would give it just a smidge less than Prometheus, despite the more
6
straight up horror
like
elements.
6.9.
The thing where David ends up on the ship instead of Walter.
Spoiler.
Well, we yelled spoilers at the beginning. Spoiler warnings. Like they don't.
Well,
I know he gets the knife, but
yeah, but there's things that
it was too easy, and I didn't like it. And
yeah, but there's definitely things that pointed out that I feel like they should have noticed.
Like when he puts the scar on the guy's face and he slaps the Band-Aid back on him, he goes, "You'll be fine."
Yes.
Like that's not something Walter would say. Like instantly,
that's not
right there. Like
an
come
attentive thing. Or whenever he's always hesitant to do something. They have to yell at him twice almost every time after they get on the ship and they leave.
And she doesn't notice till the cabin. Like, come on.
What got me though was when he's stapling his face and she came in and helped. She would know that Walter had that healing ability, that healing mechanism as an android. She should have known that he didn't need to do that.
Couple holes there.
And then the cabin. Oh, you're gonna help me, right? And he's like,
what cabin?
Yeah.
That pukes up some eggs.
Yeah. Puts them in the drawer with all the human embryos. Yeah.
It sends out a signal that all the crew, except for 2 people, lived, and that they're just gonna head off to the planet.
See, I thought for sure he was gonna kill her and make it seem like only Tennessee survived because she knew it was David, but
he needs somebody.
Oh, you can't pass over the shower scene.
Oh, yeah. Somebody decides, even though after all this horror is going on, that they're going to make some love in the showers. Well, of course,
like everybody.
An alien wants to peek in and see what's going on.
Your entire crew, but 5 of you, one's an android, is dead. So let's go make Nookie in the shower.
Yeah. Let's get in where you can fit in.
Okay.
Right?
And there's a full-size xenomorph on that level that ends up taking them both out.
And there's different names of all these aliens too, so we're just calling them xenomorphs. But there's a bunch of different. I'm not getting into that.
Where did that one come from? There was a dead body in the medical bay because the captain, Daniels. There's an unknown organism or unknown life form on the ship. She rushes down. There's a dead body and all this blood in the medical bay. Who was that?
When the crazy crackhead ones are ripping into everybody, I'm guessing maybe
the cat ones.
Yeah, the cat ones. Maybe somebody wasn't completely murdered, like they were just like half dead and they were infected.
But we would have seen them get picked up.
I don't.
Because they made it very clear the only people on that ship at the very end were Tennessee, Daniels, and the android. And the
shower is on the ship.
Well, unless
I thought the shower was in the castle. Now, where were they showering
together?
Yeah,
that was on the main ship.
It was on the main ship. Okay.
Because remember
trying to figure this out here.
Well, okay, so unless the body, because you don't see it very quick, unless that body was actually the dude who got the acid spit on his face, it's somehow
whatever happened to him?
Maybe that was him.
The doctor, the
maybe he's the one that was dead in the med bay. But when did he actually get infected? Because yes, it got on his face, but it got cut off and acid and all that stuff. Did it have time to inject an egg?
Well, he might have just got spores. It might not have been an egg. Somehow he got spores. He was rolling around on the ground.
It had to have been an egg because the only way you got those full-size xenomorphs was through a facehugger. The spores would have been one of those creepy white things.
If he tricked, what's his face? He could have
unless David infected him on the way up or once they were up there.
Hey, he definitely could have.
But then, you have another venting scene where they suck them out into space. But
well, the computer certainly.
Don't let me downplay it. Great show.
Mother took her sweet time. The name of the computer. Yeah. Took her sweet time to go, oh, by the way, everybody, there's an alien on board.
Yeah, she really did. You'd think she would have caught that a lot earlier, but...
Yeah, the Enterprise has better filters, but whatever.
All in all, I found it very entertaining. Watching it a second time today, I
like the series. Like, we can talk shit about some of them and nitpick pieces, but I think overall it is a good series.
Well, in all seriousness, I was very skeptical about this episode because I have all this stuff written down about facts and stuff. I didn't really know how we were going to talk about it. It's actually really easy to talk about.
Yeah. Well, when you enjoy watching something, I think it's good to get those juices flowing, get the excitement going, have a nice
Oh, yeah.
conversation about it.
Favorite part from this movie, Alien
From
Covenant?
this one, from Covenant.
My favorite part is the whole scene of the ship arriving and just, like I said, carpet bombing the whole town. Like, just all the locals, like, because the spores almost acted like little spears flying after people, because like it was almost like it had a mind of its own.
Yeah, they're very instinctual to start the cycle.
And the visual effects in that whole part, I just thought it was phenomenal. And it was incredibly gruesome what was happening, because he wasn't turning them into creatures. He was just, they were dying.
Yeah. Well, all those different canisters they weren't all exactly the same from before, but I think he knew which ones were supposed to do that, because he was specifically going to kill them. That was his goal. He wants to be the god. Like he wants. Well,
that was part of his wiping out humanity. He wanted to make sure they couldn't be reseeded.
Like he wants them gone. Like he wants to be the head honcho, and he will create something better. I think my favorite scene is the crazy, the field scene with the crazy ones. The
scene that reminds you of Jurassic Park, the tall grass with the raptors, and they just keep running by like killing people.
If somebody would have found a way to infect dinosaurs, and I know I've seen some art online of like a T-Rex
xenomorph,
yeah, but like raptors,
Xenorex.
Imagine a raptor with acid blood. I mean, that's basically what these things kind of are.
I am totally going to AI a xenomorph raptor.
That'd be do it.
I have to now. That sounds incredible.
Well, we're going to post some images. I mean, you'll probably see them way before you hear the episode. But
I haven't updated the show notes in a very long time.
Haven't you?
Should probably do that.
Well, I don't really have show notes. I fly by the seat of my pants, my friend.
Yeah. All right. Well, that is a wrap up on all the Alien movies.
Do you think it stands up against like the Terminator series, the Predator series,
I do.
All the other big ones?
I feel that.
Think it's right up there with them?
I think that the late 70s, 80s, and even into the 90s, a little bit into the 2000s, it depends if the franchise was established back then. I think that they have a phenomenal universe built. Alien, The Thing, Terminator, all of those.
I want more things.
Yeah.
I do.
I
don't want them to repeat the same.
I would love to see
spot, like the same Antarctic spot, but I would like to see The Thing.
Bring Kurt Russell back.
I mean, Kurt Russell, yeah. You're looking at me. Is there something wrong with Kurt Russell? Is he like bad in the news or something?
No. It's just
canceled. Don't cancel Kurt Russell. No.
It's just we don't know if he lived or died at the end.
Well, John Carpenter says if you watch it 100 more times, like you watch those two and you know who the alien is and who's not.
Oh, it's definitely not Kurt Russell.
That'd just be mean if it was.
The theory was that whiskey bottle actually had gasoline in it, and when I can't remember his name, but the other guy that was surviving,
the guy from They Live,
when he didn't react to it at all, he immediately knew who it was. That's a running theory online, because something like you can see a gas jug at certain points, and
I don't watch movies that close. No, I just watch them for the fun factor.
Yep, and again, another dog in that one gets messed up.
A lot of flamethrowers in that one too. To the 70s and 80s. Okay, well, yes. All right, we need to wrap up all this, at least the alien portion of this.
Well, before we do, we did mention Alien Romulus on, I think, Hulu.
Hulu.
I think Hulu. It is set between the first and second Alien movies.
Supposedly.
What's your take? What do you think it's going to be about? I mean, is this going to be like 8 episodes of Sigourney Weaver and Cryo?
Why not?
Could you imagine
couple
that?
Cats running around. You know what? I don't even want to speculate, because I want this to be so outside of the box of my imagination that it just throws me for a loop. I hope it is not retreading ground. I hope it is something completely. We didn't get the Covenant sequel. There was supposed to be Neil Blankenship, if I'm saying that right. He was supposed to do an Alien movie. Now the guy that is doing this, Alvarez, did do the Resident Evil remake from like 2013 or something like that, and that was a really kick-ass movie. So he knows how to do gore and blood. I'm very hopeful, pleasantly optimistic at this point.
I have in my notes.
We have a year to go.
The exact same thing in my notes I have for Madame Web. Please don't suck.
Oh,
that should be our T-shirt. Please don't suck.
Please don't suck, or we will finger you or help you.
Shut up. Please don't suck. Let me do the fingering. Oh man. And the worst part is that's actually a line in the movie.
Yeah, we can't make this up.
Oh,
and that British accent that he's doing it into is like,
Yeah.
I'll do the fingering.
Oh man. So we are easily at time. We do need to wrap up, but before we do,
we have some homework to address.
yes, we did promise that we would give our Kang prediction, not even predictions, our Kang fan casts. Now, please keep in mind, we don't know what's going to happen. Disney, Marvel, all them fun people. We don't know what they're planning to do. We don't know if they're going to drop Kang altogether and pick up Doctor Doom.
This is assuming that they're not dropping Kang.
Yes.
So we're giving who we think should
This is on the
Kang.
assumption they're going to recast Kang and continue. But really, all they need to do is take that end scene at the end of Ant-Man, Quantumania, and just record somebody else jumping around and throw them in a few places.
Jump up, and get down.
Because we've already seen that in the multiverse, you can be a different person, not just a different variant of
You
yourself.
can be a crocodile. You can be a frog.
Yep. So, I have 4 people written down.
I think I have around 4.
Just because there was 2 I couldn't quite pick between.
Okay.
How do you want to do this?
Well, you're already talking, so you shoot me.
Right.
You're first. We'll ping pong.
So I'll go first. I even
No
put
D20
this,
here.
I even put this on Reddit, and some people liked the idea. Some people said, nah, he'd make a better Professor X. I strongly feel that Ralph Fiennes, I think I said that right.
Ralph Fiennes.
It's-
Voldemort.
It's spelled Fiennes.
Is it Voldemort?
Yes.
It's Ralph Fiennes.
All right, let me restate that. I feel Ralph Fiennes would make a very good Kang because playing Voldemort, he really had that creepy subtleness about him. Like he was very good at completely making you uneasy without doing anything that should have made you uneasy, other than just talking. Now, granted, he looked really screwed up in the movie, but it was just his demeanor was very calm but threatening. If that makes sense?
That makes sense. Yeah.
But then when I saw
It's
him
good in the menu.
in the menu as this dumb with life, on edge, sadistic murderer,
You started as a burger maker.
he 100% has that. Because I was really looking for the Jonathan Majors calm but intimidating factor, but also able to get very loud. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
I feel like he could absolutely pull it off. And I did an AI of him, and in full Kang outfit, he would look awesome.
I did no AI. with
I'm
any
really
of my
big into
picks.
AI gens. What can I say? Okay.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I think it's amazing too. It's just I did not have time to do it today.
Some of the stuff AI pumps out is just
Fantastic.
amazing.
Yeah, in 10 years from now, I'll be like, oh my God, AI took over.
No, we'll be like, wow, look how crappy that picture is. All
Maybe.
right, who do you got?
The first guy I got is named Damson Idris. He stands 6'1". And to be clear, I'm pretty sure that Jonathan Majors was 6'1" as well.
Oh, okay.
Because I'm 6 foot, so he's 6'1". He's a younger guy. I don't really know a lot of stuff that he was in, but I was trying to find guys that kind of look the same, and he was on a lot of people's lists. I don't know. I'm starting with the people that I don't really know as much.
Okay.
So I choose him as my first one. Not a lot of info.
I'm not trying to sound rude in any way.
Uh-huh.
Did you stick more to people who looked like Jonathan Majors to make an easy transition? Okay.
I did.
I went with people that I felt would look more comic book accurate.
Well,
So
in the comic books, he's been kind of established as,
everything.
well,
White, black, blue.
he always has a weird looking mask.
He always has his
thing
blue
on.
mask, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so my next one that I'm not sure how you're going to feel about, but I was thinking Tom Ellis plays Lucifer
Oh, I know who
in,
Tom Ellis is. He
in
was
the
on Doctor
show Lucifer. Yeah, he is.
Who. Good old Lucy.
We've already seen that he can easily play a light and dark side of a character.
You know what? DB Woodside, the guy that plays his brother in
Ooh,
Lucifer. I didn't even think about him.
That's
He's
actually
big
a
and
good
intimidating.
pick.
He's got that deep voice.
That's a good pick.
He's got range.
Okay.
Erase my first guy because I've never even seen
I'm-
anything. I'll take that guy instead.
So I'm going to stick with Tom Ellis, but that's a
Okay.
good pick. Who do you got next?
Now this guy, he'd have to put some bulk on. I did see him in the recent remake of A Haunted Mansion. But his name is Lakeith Stanfield. Like you say, he's not a huge guy. I think he's only like 5'11". Yeah, he's 5'11". I've seen him in a few things. He just has like really good range. He can be really serious, very dour, but he has good wisecracking ability. But he would definitely have to put a lot of muscle on. Because, I mean, not like tons, but if he's going to be somewhat of imposing, as I mean, 6'1", it's not that huge
Yeah.
anyway, but there's something about
Yeah, but-
Majors that was imposing.
Yeah, I was going to say, you don't have to be tall, though, if you have the right demeanor. And look at Tom Cruise. They can make him taller.
There are a lot of boxes out there to stand on. Yeah, so that's my second pick. I think he's got good
Okay.
range. I really do.
My third pick is actually Rufus Sewell. Sewell? I'm not
Sewell.
Sewell,
Rufus
is it? Rufus Sewell. He was the main antagonist in A Knight's Tale.
Yeah.
He was also in The Man on the High Castle and The Illusionist. He has a very distinctive like voice to him and just this very intense gaze that
Was he in Dark City
I don't know.
with
But-
the bald guys that are tuning?
I'm honestly not sure, but I know he has just a way of making you feel uncomfortable in a good way, I guess.
Does he do the fingering for you?
Oh, shut up.
I'm never gonna let that down.
I just feel like he could really portray the dynamic like strategy aspect and menacing aspect.
He is the guy from Dark City.
Okay. Well, I just think he could really pull off that strategic but menacing thing that, Kang and Jonathan Majors really had going. I feel like
He is a
Jonathan
Doctor
Majors.
Doomish about him. I know that.
Ooh.
And he has that foreign accent.
I would absolutely put him as Doctor
Yeah,
Doom.
a little bit older these days, but yeah.
Doesn't Doctor? Oh man, I'm glad I have 4 because he is the perfect Doctor Doom.
The thing with Doctor Doom is whoever they gave to Reed Richards, they got to be around the same age because they were in college together.
Yeah.
And that's they got to bring that back.
Well, good.
Please bring that part
We
back.
got Pedro Pascal.
Yeah, well, Rufus Sewell could do it, and he's been in a lot of good stuff.
I'm sorry,
He's kind of like he's an older Oscar Isaac.
Yes,
is what he is.
Absolutely. Yes.
Yeah, he can play like
And
his dad or older
I'm
brother.
sorry, I still don't like the Pedro Pascal casting.
No, I don't either.
I'm hoping he does
I don't either.
amazing. I'm iffy.
My next pick is Trevante Rhodes. He's 6 foot. Now, recently he played Mike Tyson in a bioepic.
Okay.
Now, there was some controversy. I guess Mike Tyson didn't like the way it was portrayed, but he bulked up.
Did he
He
have
was also...
Did he have a lisp?
I didn't watch it.
Oh.
I just kind of learned about it. But he was also in Predators. He was one
Really?
of the group of people, or the Predator, I'm sorry, the Predator.
Okay.
One of the guys, one of the military PTSD type guys.
So he didn't last long, probably.
I think he lasted most of the movie.
Oh.
I mean, so he's a decent sized guy. He's got that really roughness to him. He's got that kind of just like he's gonna punch you right in the face kind of look, and I like that about the guy.
Nice.
He looks tough. I know it sounds weird. Majors was in Creed, played a boxer. This guy played Mike Tyson's boxer. He's got that ferocity to him, and I think he could also have that very light drama to him. So that's my second to last pick.
All right.
Trevante Rhodes.
So my last pick. Now, of all of them, I still think
I'm saving my best for last.
Ralph Fiennes would be amazing. I do. But a lot of people say Professor X for him. I could see that too, but not quite. My last pick is more of call it a fan casting, as in like I would just love to see it. I don't know how accurate it would really be, but I think he would play an amazing tough guy, hates authority, a really gritty version of Kang. Carl Urban.
Cast Carl Urban and everything, I feel.
I might, yes. But I don't know. I just think seeing him in The Boys, we know he can be a dick or he can be very sarcastic.
Mother's Milk is Kang.
Oh,
Talk about an imposing dude. I didn't even think about that guy.
I would watch that.
Dude, that's...
This isn't this isn't a list anymore. It's a brainstorming session.
Right. I'm telling you, like, that just... He
still-
speaks, you listen.
Yeah, I still think Terry Crews, but
Yeah, well, I mean,
Nah.
you need a guy that... Kang is a guy when he talks, you listen.
oh
And
yeah,
I think
absolutely.
he's type of guy. I don't know if he could have done the Victor Timely mumbling
But
thing.
that's the thing. He
but-
didn't have to.
No, but I'm saying, could he have done that part of him? I don't know. Would he have had that range? My last pick, I think, could. I really do. And my last pick is a guy that was in the show Heels.
Okay.
He was one of the main heels of the show. He jumps from one promotion to another. Alan Maldonado, 6'5", played a wrestler.
Wow.
He's
okay.
a big dude. I know that show prematurely got canceled after season 2, but the range of this guy, he has played sad. He's played angry. He's played depressed, excited. Like, he's got the ability to move around, to do stunts. This guy, I think, Marvel, pick this dude up. Like, I don't know. Like, he's been in film for a while, some TV shows,
Right.
but he really put on the mass for Heels. There's a lot of really bulky, very dense dialogue that this man was given in the show. Like, these clips where he's talking for 2 or 3 minutes at a time, and what seems to me is like a one take, and like he's just killing it. This guy has got the chops. And I think you need to find somebody that's a little bit underrated, under the radar, that can really kill the scene. Like, they don't have to just look the part. They need to be able to talk the part. And this guy has a sternness about him, a wickedness, and he's got this side eye when he looks at people, when like he doesn't like what you're saying, and he can kind of come at you in that way to where you kind of shrink a little bit. And he's like, now listen. And he's got some force behind him. Alden Maldonado, or otherwise get him in some other stuff. Because this guy...
Oh, definitely.
Like, I know I'm 41, about to be 41. I think this dude's like 37, 38, somewhere around that range. But I think this guy would kill it.
Have you seen the Netflix show Obliterated?
Yes, all of it.
Okay, first of all, I loved it. I thought it was fantastic. But Terrence Terrell that plays Trunk...
Yeah. He reminds me of the guy from Black Panther that plays like the ape guy that like lives out. He's kind of like that dude.
But what do you think about him? Could he pull it off?
I don't know if there was enough range for
he's
him in that show for me
goofy.
to catch.
I've seen him in a few things. Like he was in Bright. Do you remember Bright?
Yeah.
I think it was always like smaller parts. You're talking.
I did think about him.
Well, you're
but
talking
I don't know if
big,
he has...
imposing guy. I mean,
true. He is imposing for sure. I don't know how tall he is. He's probably like 6'3", 6'4". I'm gonna guess.
I'm looking.
Because the main guy was 6 foot, so I'm gonna guess 6'4"
Wait, Nick Zaney is 6 foot.
Yeah, the main
Dude,
guy.
He
with long
looks
hair.
so short in that one. You know, that's the same guy that plays. Was it Hayworth or whatever it is in not Guardians of the Galaxy, Legends of Tomorrow?
Yeah.
I didn't
Captain
realize
Steel
until I
or
was
whatever.
halfway through it, and I'm like, I know that guy. He's
I
the
had to look it up too because it was
only
bugging me.
actor in that whole show I recognized. If you haven't watched Obliterated on Netflix,
Fantastic.
first of all, if you're offended easily, don't watch it.
Yeah.
But if you want a good laugh, because it is so bad.
Another show that does not. That's not how the military works, but still fantastic.
It's such it's so bad that the show is actually incredibly good.
Oh, after that first episode, Emily's looking at me like, "Are we doing this? This is so bad." And I was like, "We got to at least catch another one."
I got through the first episode, and I'm like, "Okay, I'll give it another. I'll keep going." I mean, it was entertaining. By the third episode, I'm like, "I'm freaking hooked! Like, this is fantastic."
That guy could replace Thor. He's not 6'4", but get that guy some muscle, like he could play a Thor type dude. And we are getting a He-Man soon.
Terrence Terrell is 6'5".
Ooh, I called that. It said
You
6'4"-ish, man.
You did.
Yeah.
178 pounds
This dude's bigger.
of like muscle.
Yeah. Or the guy from Supergirl. He was on my list too as a possible because he's 6'5".
Said he was that Terrence Terrell was in Batwoman. He played some Titan.
Oh yeah, I saw Batwoman right before they destroyed every copy, and you can never like find it because. Are you talking about the TV show?
I think it was the CW show.
Oh, okay. Well, what was it? Batgirl that got canceled and got deleted?
Yeah. Which apparently was actually supposed to be very good, but
well, tax purposes. But anyway,
right, well,
wow, man, we've been rambling.
We are
on this.
way over time right now.
Tell us who you think should play Kang, and think outside the box. I don't want to hear the guy from Star Wars that doesn't want to do it. I don't want to hear the top 5
John
guys.
Boyega.
Yeah, no, thank you.
He's made it very clear he does not want that part.
And don't say the guy that played Cyborg either. Like I want to hear some names that aren't out there.
Yeah, like
Let
put
us
some
know.
thought into it. Let us know who you want to see as Kang. Let us know your Alien rankings. What did you like? What didn't you like? Do you disagree with us? Do you agree with us? Do you agree with me that Resurrection is the worst of the entire franchise?
Or is it 3?
Or is it 3? Let us know.
Yeah, 3 or 4.
Hit up treeofgeek.com, contact us, and let us know what you think. You can also jump on and join our subscriber stuff that we have nothing actually for because we don't have a subscriber.
But if you're the first one, it'll give us a purpose.
If you are the first subscriber at no less than $5 a month, we will give you a guest spot on a future episode.
That's right. Golden ticket. Charlie and Chocolate Factory style.
And if you don't live anywhere near us, we will Zoom you.
Yeah, I'm not going to fly you here.
Yeah. We probably just screwed that up.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
Nah, who cares?
People love us anyway. We got a solid following.
I
We're
hate
doing
asking for people to support us with money, but at the same time, I really want to keep doing this. And
it's the holiday season. It's the season of giving.
It is the season of giving. So give us your opinion.
Hey, listen, we just got a huge email from a guy today.
Oh my word, it's massive.
I'm happy.
Yeah, we is literally. You can tell in the contact us form, he just did like enter down, type something, enter down, type something. He gave us a list, but unfortunately, the way we got it didn't format it that way, so it looks like one massive run-on sentence.
Oh, I didn't realize that's how he. I was driving around and saw that we got the message.
Yeah, but he has some pretty crazy ideas in there for future episodes that I think we might even look into.
Yeah, we're definitely going to discuss.
But it will not be Godzilla.
No, but we do got some future episodes coming your way. Hint, we have some more aliens. We
Well-
got maybe some verses.
Well, wait. What goes with aliens? Like salt and pepper. It's aliens and what?
Peas and carrots.
No, Predator, man.
Oh, Predator.
That's right. Chris
Yeah.
Hansen will be here next week. No.
Whoa! Whoa! Why is there a bag of Funyuns? What's going on?
Yeah, the next episode we will be diving into the Predator franchise from Prey up. Well, actually, I guess Predator to Prey.
Yeah,
Don't
all
miss
5 or
it.
6 of them. We're going to tackle it. You know, and I'm
Uh-huh.
excited for that, man, because I love Predator. I love the series, and I cannot wait to talk about it and ramble.
Absolutely. What do you like better, Alien or Predator?
Predator.
Really?
I'd watch
That's
Predator.
actually surprising for me.
Yeah.
See, because I didn't view Predator as much of a horror genre as I did just an action adventure because of Schwarzenegger.
An alien comes to Earth to kill people. It's horror.
Yeah, they did that.
Well, the
in-
first one, he's hunting them and he's skinning them alive and taking their spines. And, yeah, you know, and Bill Paxton might make another appearance.
Yes, he might. And
Not Sigourney Weaver, though.
And on that note, ladies, gentlemen, everybody out there, good
Thank
night.
you for hanging out in the tree, and I'm going to leave you with this. A chugga, a chugga, a chugga. A chugga.